Family Cultivation. I can improve my magic weapon. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 701 Return to the Star Sea. Next cooperation. Everyone started to fly towards the Star Sea and arrived at the Star Sea half a year later. In the sea area where the Mist Hidden Island is located, in the Zhuxian building of the Mist Market, everyone began to divide the remaining spoils. These are the resources in the storage bags, totaling more than 200. After a count, most of them are spirit stones, totaling more than 40 million spirit stones. Other elixirs, talismans, etc., are not many in number. The most eye-catching is the 5 Elements puppet. As a cultivator of the 5 Elements sect, not all disciples have 5 Elements puppet. Only the inner sect and disciples above the level can access the 5 Elements puppet. These storage bags contain 5 Elements puppet, totaling 369 5 Elements puppet. Because they are all refined with divine thoughts and bound to their souls, outsiders cannot use them even if they obtain them. Therefore, these puppets are of little use to Li Mubing and others. At most, they are a pile of scrap copper and iron that can be used as materials for refining. The same is true for Chen Qingyun. Fortunately, what he lacks most now is the materials for refining equipment. These puppets can be disassembled and used for refining equipment or making puppets, so he doesn't have to go to the market to buy materials. With this idea in mind, Chen Qingyun said it directly, indicating that he wanted these puppets, without any hesitation. Fellow Taoist Chen has such a great interest in the 5 Elements puppet. It seems that he wants to keep improving in this field. This is a good thing for our subsequent exploration. Mu Daoran is a smooth person. He did not forget to say good things to win over Chen Qingyun and took the lead in expressing his position. Fellow Taoist Chen has made a lot of efforts in this treasure hunt. Luo has no objection. There is no problem in giving you these puppets. 2 people have already expressed their opinions. The remaining Li Mubing and Wen Ziumen thought about it and determined that the puppets were useless to them, so they followed Chen Qingyun's wishes and divided them all to Chen Qingyun. Songzhen and Juying are currently only a little interested in the spirit stones and dare not interrupt for fear of offending Chen Qingyun. Finally, Li Mubing asked Baoang for his opinion. From the beginning to the end, she had always regarded Baoang as a strong teammate and respected him very much. Yeah. Baoang had always maintained a cold and taciturn image, and slowly nodded in agreement. In this way, all these puppets were divided among Chen Qingyun. The rest of the resources and items were divided equally according to the content of the agreement, and Baoang naturally had a share. It is worth mentioning that when dividing the spirit stones, Li Mubing took the initiative to mention the matter of Xiaolingzi. She used her share of spirit stones as compensation and distributed it equally to everyone, which was also considered to be fulfilling the previous promise. First, get her Xiaolingzi for Luohuzi. The value of this item is how many spirit stones, and Xuanbing will compensate everyone afterwards. After completing this promise, Li Mubing finally mentioned the issue of the next exploration time. 2. Enter the inner formation. I'm afraid we need to join forces with Yuanying Cultivator. But, if we find such a senior to help, we won't be able to share the same benefits. We can only get a small share. Do you have any ideas? If we find a Yuanying Cultivator to cooperate, they eat meat and we drink soup, what's the point of this exploration? Luo doesn't want to be used as a gun. Luo Huzi was the first to shake his head. Once the Yuanying Cultivator is sought to participate, the huge difference in realm will undoubtedly make them, the giant and cultivators, a vulnerable group. It is even very likely that they will be directly regarded as cannon fodder to fight against ghost cultivators and consume the power of the formation. The inner sect area of the 5 Elements sect ruins is still too dangerous. Unlike the outer sect area, the giant and Anzifu cultivators can work together, share a little benefit, and there will be no internal strife. If you really want to enter the inner sect area of the 5 Elements sect with the Yuanying Cultivator, the risk is that the giant and cultivator cannot solve it at all. and can only rely on the Yuanying cultivator to take action. At this time, the initiative is in the hands of the Yuanying cultivators. They may not be willing to fight to the death in front of them, and they will have to divide the treasures with the Jiandan cultivators afterwards. In addition, the Yuanying cultivators have all kinds of means and have ways to bypass the blood oath contract. For them, this kind of constraint can be invalidated at any time and does not need to be followed. I agree with Brother Luo. If we really want to explore again in the future, it is better for us to form a group. It may be disadvantageous to randomly recruit strong people to join the team. Daoren nodded. Brother Chen, what do you think? Li Mubing asked Chen Qingyun, wanting to continue to invite Chen Qingyun to participate in the next treasure hunt. If he invited the Yuanying cultivator to participate, his secrets with Baoang might be exposed. Without the ability to fight against the Yuanying cultivator, joining forces with such a strong person would be like living under someone else's roof. And it might be like seeking the skins of a tiger. Chen Qingyun was naturally unwilling to take this risk and rejected it directly. The meaning of fellow Taoist Luo and fellow Taoist Mu is very clear. I have the same idea. I suggest that no nascent soul cultivators should join. After saying that, thinking of the inner array, Chen Qingyun suggested to crack the inner array of the Xumi Qian Kun array. See if fellow Taoist Luo has other methods. We can study them carefully. As for the possible nascent soul ghost cultivators in the intersect area, as long as we are fully prepared, have a lot of thunder and fire methods to assist, and invite a few fellow Jiandan who mainly practice thunder and fire to join, we may not have no chance of winning. Although, fellow Taoist Chen thinks highly of Luo, if we really give Luo enough time, let alone cracking the inner array, we can still find a way to open a gap on it. Luo Huzi smiled and said that he had already explored the inner formation carefully and made detailed records, so that he could go back and find a way to crack it. No matter how high the grade or how powerful the formation is, it will have weaknesses after all. Since Senior Luo is so confident, then let's do as you say. We will try to maintain the original team for the next exploration. If you want to attract foreign aid, you must get the consent of more than half of us. What do you think? Li Mubing proposed such an idea. Yes. Luo Huzi nodded, and Chen Qingyun and others had no objection. Mu Daoren asked, do you have any plans for the next treasure hunt date? When are you going to set it? Chen Qingyun and others did not respond, wanting to see what Li Mubing, the initiator of the treasure hunt, meant. Li Mubing thought for a moment and said, Yinger has obtained the golden core this time. In 30 years at most, she will have the opportunity to enter the golden core stage, which will enhance our team's strength. In addition, I also need to go to Lei Linghai again to collect more things related to thunder and fire, so as to help restrain the ghost cultivator. In my opinion, the date of the next treasure hunt should be set 30 years later. 30 years is just right. If it were a few more decades, I'm afraid I would have passed away. Let's do it this way. Daoren was the first to respond, and he looked at Song Xin with a slight smile. In addition, Song Girl has made great contributions this time. If it weren't for her assistance, we might not be able to eradicate the ghost cultivator. Please, continue to bring her along for the next treasure hunt. Chapter 702 New Agreement, Rapid Increase of Reinforcement Points. Everyone can see what kind of ability Song Xin has. Such a capable assistant. Next time I go to the Five Elements Sect ruins, I must take him with me. Okay. Li Mubing nodded. Song Xin also nodded and agreed, willing to continue to go with him. Chen Qingyun and others thought that 30 years was enough time for preparation, not too long or too short. If everything goes well and some valuable opportunities are obtained, it is possible to enter the nascent soul stage and reach a higher level of cultivation. If it is extended for a few more decades, we really have to worry that the great opportunities in the Five Elements Sect ruins will be taken by others first, so it is better to seize some time appropriately. In order to ensure future cooperation, Li Mubing suggested that a new cooperation agreement be simply signed first to avoid someone standing up and causing unpleasantness. After all, If someone suddenly changes his mind and withdraws after preparing for another 30 years, it will greatly reduce the strength of the team. Regarding this point, everyone has no objection, and still hopes that on the basis of maintaining the original team, it is best for some individuals to improve their strength. At present, several people are familiar with each other and have developed some tacit understanding, which is indispensable. Now that this is mentioned, before signing this simple agreement, Chen Qingyun thought that the magic weapon harvest this time might allow Baoang and Jiuyu to break through to the nascent soul stage. At that time, if the strengthening is really successful, then the division of benefits will definitely need to be modified. Thinking of this, Chen Qingyun asked, in 30 years, if one of us has extraordinary luck and breaks through to the nascent soul stage, then the division of benefits at that time will need to be renegotiated. Let's talk about this in advance. Do you have any objections? As soon as this was said, Luohuzi was the first to laugh. Haha, I would like to borrow the auspicious words of fellow Taoist Chen. In these 30 years, Luo hopes to have this blessing and be able to peek into the realm of the nascent soul stage. Li, Mubing and others thought about it for a while, and quickly nodded, agreeing with Chen Qingyun's proposal. After all, they knew that there were several late giants present, and this time they obtained the Ling Lemon fruit, and they had a great chance to be promoted to the peak of giant. If I am really lucky and encounter some extraordinary opportunities in the future, I really have the hope of being promoted to the nascent soul stage. This world is so big that there are all kinds of things, who can tell the chances and fortunes? After agreeing on the next departure time, Li Mubing added the clause mentioned by Chen Qingyun to the agreement, and wrote down the division of interests of the nascent soul cultivators in advance. As for the specific division, it will be determined according to the number of participants at that time, and it will be supplemented and modified. There is no need to rush now. Everyone, compared with the last time, this treasure hunt went smoothly and we all returned safely. What we saw and heard during this experience, I hope you keep it in your heart. Remember to abide by the content of the agreement, and don't leak it to the outside. Li Mubing said seriously. Whether it is Yu Ying's origin, Song Xin's special physique, or Wen Xiumen's extraordinary qualities, these need to be kept secret. The participants present all have their own secrets, and naturally they will not violate the content of the agreement and leak it to the outside. This is related to everyone's interests. All that should be said was said. Everyone agreed to meet again in 30 years. Li Mubing set off with Yu Ying and Song Xin to return to Xuanbing Island. Luohuzi and Wen Xiumen were going to fly to the Wanyao Sea and go home. Li Mubing and others greeted each other and agreed to meet again next time. Each of them controlled their magic weapons to soar into the sky. Chen Qingyun took Baoang on the teleportation array and teleported to the inner star sea. It took a few more days to return to Zhenhai Island. The first thing to do after returning to the island was to start counting the harvest this time. First of all, it was the puppet materials. At that time, the puppet materials picked up, all kinds of them, including those that could be recycled, totaled more than 290. These numbers can be used to refine more than 295 element puppets. Luohuzi also picked up a lot of these things. As for how the other party used them, it was estimated that they would also use them as materials. The second thing was the harvest of materials in the refining hall. After careful counting, there were a total of 43 types, ranging from the first to the third level. These can be used to refine magic tools and obtain them as strengthening points. Then, there is the harvest of magic tools, which is the biggest harvest. From first level magic tools to fourth level magic tools, a total of more than 4,000 pieces were harvested. If you count carefully, there are 2,311 first-level magic tools and 2,125 second-level magic tools. 523 third-level magic tools and 16 fourth-level magic tools. Chen Qingyun carefully checked these magic tools to see if there are any suitable for him. Finally, among the fourth-level magic tools that he focused on, he took a fancy to 4.1 as a fourth-level top-grade wind and thunder boat, which contains the power of wind and thunder. At full speed, it is as fast as lightning, and its speed can match the escape light of giant and cultivators. In terms of power, This wind and thunder boat is suitable for travel and running away. At the same time, it also has some attack effects and can launch lightning to defend against enemies. Chen Qingyun currently lacks a 4th level flying boat. The appearance of this wind and thunder boat just makes up for this deficiency. The other 3 items. One is the 4th grade top grade Yuanji Mountain, which is a golden mountain magic weapon that can transform into a mountain to kill the enemy. The 3rd and 4th items are 2 immortal swords. One is a purple immortal sword, named Zhuxiantu Duanshui Sword, which has extremely strong attack power. Like the other green immortal sword Qingguang Sword, they are all 4th grade top grade. Since all the magic tools were intact and did not need to be repaired, Chen Qingyun kept these 4 and decomposed the rest. With so many magic tools being decomposed, the reinforcement points skyrocketed and reached over 500,000. Reinforcement points 548299. Chen Qingyun was not in a hurry to strengthen the magic tools and continued to count them. In terms of elixirs, including the harvest from the 8 wastelands, there were 12 foundation building pills and 4 golden pills. There were several other spiritual purple pills, chi refining pills, etc. These pills are not very useful to Chen Qingyun at present, so it is better to exchange them with the family so that the family can cultivate foundation building and golden pill cultivators. On his side, he can also exchange spirit stones and magic tools from the family, achieving a win-win situation for both parties. Then there are the guardian puppets in the weapon refining hall. 2 golden pill puppets, 5 purple palace puppets, and 15 foundation building puppets were harvested. These puppets were all taken out of the spirit stone cores and were in a broken state, and needed to be repaired and used. These puppets are not magic weapons, but authentic products of puppetry. Although Chen Qingyun does not understand the way of puppets, he can complete the repair with his 4th level middle grade weapon refining skills. The 3 types of puppets have reached the peak level of their respective realms. Whether they are exchanged for the family or kept for my own use, they are very good and worth repairing. Chen Qingyun calculated that the value of these puppets would not be wasted. However, there is a biggest problem at this moment, that is, what materials these puppets are made of, which must be found out clearly. Chapter 703, Late Jinan Period, 8 Wastelands form infant. After searching for a long time, Chen Qingyun found various books and finally determined that the puppets in front of him were all made of a material called fire copper platinum. Fire copper platinum is generally divided into 3 and 4 grades, with different qualities. The lower grade fire copper platinum is used to build foundation puppets. The 4th grade is mainly used to refine purple mansion and golden elixir puppets. It is precisely because fire copper platinum is extremely solid, has strong defense, and has excellent spiritual power circulation that it has become one of the superior materials for building puppet equipment, close to the better grade fire pattern black copper. In terms of materials, this is easy to do. You can directly melt a purple mansion puppet to obtain materials, which is enough to repair all the remaining puppets. This matter must be done in the near future and cannot be delayed. Finally, it is the harvest in the 5 elements sex spiritual medicine garden, Xixianganoderma lucidum, Sha Uiuan fruit, mysterious blackwood and linkcitron fruit. Chen Qingyun focused on the mysterious blackwood first. After a careful look, he found that not only Bang, but all the 5 elements puppets on his body, as long as the 5 elements were unified, could have a connection with this piece of blackwood and develop a sense of closeness. Chen Qingyun tried to collect the blackwood with Bang, and found that he could directly collect it into the 5 elements danshan, surrounding the 5 elements golden elixir. Generally speaking, only the life magic weapon can be collected in the danshan without being rejected. This is just a piece of wood, not refined into a magic weapon, but it has such an effect. This opened Chen Qingyun's eyes and made him more curious about the origin of this thing. Unfortunately, after searching all the memories in his mind, Chen Qingyun was temporarily confused and did not recognize what this blackwood was. After careful study, there was no other discovery. Speaking of the small piece of blackwood in Wohuzi's hand, I don't know if the other party recognized it. If this really identifies what kind of extraordinary treasure it is, he should take the initiative to purchase it in the future. It can appear in the 5 Elements sect spiritual medicine garden and can also sense the 5 Elements puppets. So this thing can definitely assist the 5 Elements puppets, and its use will not be small. It seems that we still have to explore the 5 Elements sect again. At least we have to go to the library and find the books about this piece of black wood. We must also get those core inherited skills of the 5 Elements sect. Chen Qingyun has a stronger interest in exploring the ruins of the 5 Elements sect with Li Mubing and others next time. After putting away the black wood, Chen Qingyun set his sights on the longevity fruit again, opened his mouth and swallowed it directly, and began to absorb the essence of it. In less than a while, a burst of warmth appeared in his body, all the fatigue was swept away, and his lifespan increased by 30 years. After eating the longevity fruit, Chen Qingyun was in high spirits, his face seemed to be a little clearer, and then he began to pick up the spiritual citron fruit again. Last time I took the Millennium Spiritual Milk, my cultivation reached the bottleneck of the middle stage of the golden core. This time, I can use the spiritual citron fruit to impact the late stage of the golden core. This time, I got 2 spiritual citron fruits, which can be used for 2 breakthroughs. With the use of the Millennium Spiritual Milk, I can reach the peak of the golden core stage more quickly in the future. The participation of Baoang has one more benefit this time. Sitting cross-legged on the spot, the spiritual citron fruit was suspended in front of him. Chen Qingyun gently broke the shell and wrapped the fruit juice with magic power. In an instant, a fragrant and sweet fruit fragrance came to my nose, making my mouth water. Chen Qingyun suspended the spiritual citron fruit liquid in front of him and began to refine it. Time passed by little without knowing it. As strands of spiritual citron fruit liquid turned into the body and merged into the golden core, Chen Qingyun's aura began to grow, and the bottleneck of his cultivation was loosening little by little. Until noon the next day, with the complete absorption of the citron fruit juice, it turned into giant and magic power, and Chen Qingyun finally broke through the shackles and successfully broke through to the late giant stage. The late giant stage finally made it. Feeling the improvement of his cultivation, Chen Qingyun slowly opened his eyes. A look of joy appeared on his face, and he could clearly sense the significant improvement of his cultivation. The magic power has increased by nearly 2 times. For example, when casting the Fire Domain Meteor, in the middle giant stage, it can be cast up to 5 times. Now that it has been upgraded to the late giant stage, it can be cast up to 8 times, and the power is naturally improved. It can cast a larger array fire map and release more flame meteors. In terms of spiritual consciousness, it can be released up to 100,000 meters, that is, 200 miles. After experiencing the improvement of strength, Chen Qingyun began to decide to strengthen the magic weapon. Jiuyu's current strength is the late giant stage. Chen Qingyun did not hesitate and directly spent 96,768 points of strengthening points to smash it. I saw the light rising from Jiuyu's body, and the golden elixir in his body began to shine, and his aura was raised to the peak of the golden elixir at this moment. In just a blink of an eye, Chen Qingyun had a second golden elixir peak clone, and his strength evolved one step further. At this time, he could strengthen towards the 5th level, that is, the nascent soul stage. What kind of nascent soul will be condensed when the 5 elements external incarnations form a baby? Human veins, earth veins, heaven veins, or the 5 elements nascent soul recorded in the exercises? Chen Qingyun was ready to strengthen his clone to the nascent soul stage. This nascent soul stage is the goal pursued by every giant and cultivator, and what they want. Once the nascent soul is condensed, the magic power will undergo a huge change. As long as a trace of the power of the nascent soul is exerted, the full force of the giant and cultivator can be exerted. The magical skills that the nascent soul cultivator can perform are also extremely numerous, far exceeding the giant stage. According to the records of 5 elements external incarnation, a cultivator can cultivate the 5 elements external incarnation at the peak of the golden core stage, and after reaching the peak of the golden core stage and meeting the requirements for impacting the nascent soul stage, He can use the 5 elements external incarnation to assist in forming a nascent soul. This nascent soul after forming a nascent soul is called the 5 elements nascent soul. Chen Qingyun clearly remembered that there are generally 3 ways for cultivators to condense a nascent soul. That is, human vein, earth vein, and heaven vein nascent soul. Each of these has different strengths due to different condensation difficulties. Human vein nascent soul is the most common, and it is easier to form a nascent soul. After reaching the nascent soul stage, the strength and magical skills that can be exerted are relatively ordinary. 9 out of 10 nascent soul cultivators are human vein nascent soul. A better earth vein nascent soul needs to be assisted by rare and precious spiritual essences such as the Mother Earth energy, the mysterious earth marrow, and the earth core purple jade. It is quite difficult to form a nascent soul, but once it succeeds, the strength will be more domineering. The best heavenly vein nascent soul is basically the treatment of the chosen one. At least one needs to obtain the heavenly Tao true power of a small world to cleanse the body and achieve the effect of sudden enlightenment and breakthrough. Xingzhen, the founder of Xingzhen, is a heavenly vein nascent soul, and the only heavenly vein nascent soul born in the Star Sea in the past 1,000 years. After that, the power of the earth vein and human vein nascent soul will be weaker, but as long as anyone can condense a nascent soul, even the most basic human vein nascent soul, it is enough to become a top powerhouse of heaven and earth. This trip to the secret realm of the 5 elements sect, Baoang has made a lot of efforts, and Baoang has a share of the benefits. In order to try to form a nascent soul with a clone this time, Chen Qingyun decided to strengthen Baoang first without saying a word to see if he could be promoted to the nascent soul stage. Chapter 704 5 Elements Yuaning, it and number 039:s done. Baoang in the nascent soul stage, let's see if we can strengthen it successfully. Chen Qingyun was eager to make a move. He himself did not have the ability to impact the nascent soul stage, but the clone might be able to enter the nascent soul stage through strengthening. Baoang and Jiuyu were different from other 5-element puppets. Since they had been refined into the external incarnations of the 5 elements, they were integrated with their own thoughts and merged into one, and were not affected by the grade and strength of the puppets. If you simply strengthen a magic weapon to the 5th level, with the cultivation of the golden core stage, you naturally cannot control it. This clone is an exception. If you have an idea, just try it directly. It is estimated that at least 200,000 strengthening points are needed to strengthen it to the 5th level. It is a bit too much, but as long as the effect can meet expectations, it is all worth it. Baoang and Jiuyu stood in front of him, and Chen Qingyun chose Baoang's clone to strengthen. Baoang directly started strengthening. Chen Qingyun paid attention to the changes and strengthening points. 290304 points were deducted from the strengthening points. The next moment, light surged on Baoang's body, and the whole body emitted a buzzing sound. The sound was like thunder, as if there was some powerful force hidden in the body, which was about to explode at this moment. Under Chen Qingyun's close attention, Baoang's cultivation aura began to rise from the peak of the golden elixir, emitting a heart-pounding power. Chen Qingyun then shifted his attention to Baoang's danshan, and saw that the 5-element golden elixir slowly rotated, emitting 5-color light, and began to transform. Visible to the naked eye, the 5-element golden elixir gradually condensed into a human-shaped Yuaning, with hands, feet, torso, body and head, which was exactly the miniature version of Baoang, that is, Chen Qingyun. This is condensing the Yuaning. The whole process of forming the infant is just a few blinks of an eye, and it does not take 10 or even dozens of years. This is one of the benefits of strengthening, which can instantly upgrade a major grade. The strengthening process was very fast. When the light on Baoang's body converged, waves of Yuaning magic power flowed out of his body, full of powerful power to destroy the world. At this time, Chen Qingyun could very intuitively perceive that Baoang had surpassed the scope of the giant stage. Yuaning stage. After successfully strengthening Baoang to the Yuaning stage, Chen Qingyun looked happy and immediately released his consciousness to pay attention to the changes in the surrounding world. When a cultivator condenses the Yuaning, It will cause a strange phenomenon in the world and usher in the first heavenly tribulation, which is called the Yuanying tribulation. After passing through this heavenly tribulation, there will be colorful clouds in the world, forging the supreme Yuanying Tao body, and officially becoming a Yuanying great cultivator. The strange phenomenon of the world, such as the Yuanying tribulation, will naturally attract attention from all sides and become the focus. The difference is that every time the puppet is strengthened and the realm is broken through, no strange phenomenon of the world is caused, and the improvement process is rapid. This time is the same. After paying attention, there is nothing abnormal in the surrounding area above Zhenhai Island. Baoang's infant formation this time is very secretive. Chen Qingyun withdrew his consciousness and began to enter the 8 wastelands, carefully feeling the changes brought by the nascent soul stage. First of all, it is strength. The mana strength of the nascent soul cultivator far exceeds that of the golden core stage. When dealing with the golden core cultivator, it is really possible to kill him in a moment. Then, it is the strength of the soul. The improvement brought about by this aspect has greatly enhanced the divine thoughts and consciousness. Generally speaking, the consciousness strength of the nascent soul cultivator in the early stage is between 500 miles and 3,000 miles due to the different levels of the nascent soul formation. The human vein nascent soul is 500 miles. The earth vein nascent soul is 1,000 miles. The sky vein nascent soul is stronger and can reach 3,000 miles. It is roughly in this range, and special existence is not ruled out. Because the 8 wastelands is relatively special, it is formed by the 5 elements of the origin of the nascent soul, and is not classified into the common nascent soul level. Chen Qingyun was surprised to find that after the consciousness was unfolded, the exploration distance of the consciousness spread all the way, covering 1,000 miles, 1,500 miles, and 2,000 miles. Finally, it reached an astonishing 3,000 miles. 3,000 miles. This is equivalent to the strength of the consciousness of the Tanmei Yuanying. Chen Qingyun paid close attention and found that any movement within the range of 3,000 miles, even a dragonfly flapping its wings, a spirit fish bubbling in the lake, could be clearly captured and could not be hidden from his detection. Not only that, the consciousness of the Yuanying stage also has a trace of Yuanying power, which can display one of the exclusive magical powers of Yuanying cultivators, spiritual sword, which has a powerful effect of killing living beings. Within 3,000 miles, a Yuanying cultivator can sit cross-legged in one place and kill people at will. In addition, there is another Yuanying magical power, which is teleportation. This effect, Chen Qingyun had experienced a little bit when he mastered the 5 elements sky escape. The existence of the 5 elements sky escape can be said to be the entry-level version of Yuanying teleportation. Once a Yuanying cultivator uses the teleportation technique, unless he is well prepared and has mastered the method of confrontation, otherwise cultivators below the god transformation stage cannot catch up and can only let him escape far away. Moreover, it is very difficult to kill a nascent soul cultivator if the physical body is destroyed. As long as the nascent soul escapes by teleportation, it will have the opportunity to take over another body and be reborn. This nascent soul cultivator is already the sealing power in the inner sea, second only to the spiritualization stage. Joining any force is enough to become a pillar and obtain a role such as an inner sect elder or a quasi-sect master. After repeatedly feeling the power in Baoang's body, although Chen Qingyun reached the nascent soul stage for the first time, the strength comparison between the so-called human, earth, and heaven veins nascent souls only existed on paper. But the domineering power in his body told him that among the 3 levels of Yuanying, he could definitely rival the Tanmei Yuanying. This was really shocking. Without relying on the heavenly Tao true power of the small world, he had formed a Yuanying with the strength that rivaled the Tanmei Yuanying. If this were to spread, it would definitely shake the entire world of immortal cultivation. At that time, Chen Qingyun would definitely become the focus of everyone's attention. This Baoang must be fought over by all parties, and we must ask how to condense such a Yuanying that rivaled the Tanmei Yuanying. Baoang can condense the 5 elements Yuanying, and its strength is no less than that of the Tanmei Yuanying. This is still derived from the extraordinary origin of the 5 elements. I just don't know if there is anyone in the 5 elements sect who can improve the 5 elements external incarnation layer by layer, cultivate it to the peak of the golden core stage, and finally assist himself in condensing the 5 elements Yuanying. Chen Qingyun muttered to himself. It can be imagined that in the field of cultivating the 5 elements puppet, many people have been stumped. For example, Chen Qingyun and others have now further cultivated the 5 elements outer body incarnation. Even with the assistance of various 5 elements spiritual objects, the strength of their clones has only reached the foundation establishment stage at most. Chen Qingyun has no idea what methods the 5 elements sect cultivators have to quickly create a purple mansion stage or even a golden core stage clone. At present, the only thing we know is that we can use the 5 elements spiritual objects to improve the clone little by little, which is very costly. It is not as easy and comfortable as myself. I just need to decompose the magic weapon and strengthen the points. Chapter 705 New System Talent. In fact, someone like Chen Qingyun, who has the talent for strengthening magic tools, can break the rules and strengthen a clone of the nascent soul stage that condenses the 5 elements nascent soul. This kind of talent is completely unique and cannot be imitated by outsiders. Chen Qingyun realized his advantage and felt that this golden finger was particularly important. It was simply tailor-made for him. Having tasted the sweetness, Chen Qingyun tried the strength of his mind again. This was definitely enough to control the spiritual treasures. The number of items that could be controlled at the same time could reach about 1,000. Magic tools below the 5th level can control about 10,000 at the same time. Finally, there is the lifespan. Since the clone is advancing to the nascent soul stage, Chen Qingyun's lifespan has not increased much, and it has increased by about 110 years. Looking at the remaining strengthening points, there are still 257,995 points left. If it is used to strengthen Jiuyu to the nascent soul stage, there is still more than 30,000 points. A 4th level top grade magic weapon needs 290,304 strengthening points at a time to be strengthened to the 5th level, which is expected. From the 1st level, 2nd level, and then to the 3rd level, the enhancement to the 4th level. The enhancement across the major levels is tripled. For example, from the 1st level of the best to the 2nd level of the lower level, 21 points are required. From the 2nd level of the best to the 3rd level of the lower level, 504 points are required. The improvement of the minor level is a doubling. According to this rule, if you want to enhance the 8 desolations to the middle stage of the nascent soul, the level of the medium-grade spiritual treasure, you need 580,608 enhancement points. Next, whether to keep the enhancement points or enhance 1 or 2 4th-level best magic tools, Chen Qingyun was thinking about it when a voice sounded in his mind. It is detected that you have enhanced the 1st spiritual treasure, and now your spiritual treasure fusion and magic tool analysis talents are activated. Ding! The spiritual treasure fusion talent has been activated. Ding! The magic tool analysis talent has been activated. Chen Qingyun's expression moved, and the system's voice continued to sound. For the fusion of spiritual treasures, you can choose 3 4th grade top grade magic treasures and consume 300 reinforcement points to fuse a lower grade spiritual treasure. For the analysis of magic weapons, you can analyze a magic weapon at will without consuming any reinforcement points to obtain the refining method and refining raw materials of the magic weapon. Fusion and analysis. After learning the uses of these 2 new talents, the first one was the fusion of spiritual treasures, which reminded Chen Qingyun of the talent of fusing magic treasures before. That was achieved by consuming 100 reinforcement points with 3 2nd-grade top-grade magic treasures. I remember clearly that at that time, the first magic weapon, the 10,000 Swords map, was fused with the Red Dragon Flag, the Golden Spirit Mother and Child Blade, and the Red Lotus Immortal Sword as the fusion materials. This 10,000 Swords map once became a magic weapon of the Purple Mansion period and made great achievements. Now, the function of fusing spiritual treasures is activated, which makes Chen Qingyun eager to try it out and decide to try this effect. If I can fuse a spiritual treasure, I will have another way to obtain spiritual treasures. At present, I have several life magic weapons on me, and only the 8 desolations, the wind and thunder boat obtained from the 5 elements sect ruins, the purple light broken water sword, and the green shadow blue sky sword have reached the top grade. The rest of the star ring moon blade, the transformation shield, and the Wanji mountain are of the top grade. The immortal palace and the hanging soul slaying sword are of the middle grade. The light shaking sleeves and the sky void sword are of the lower grade. Looking at these magic weapons, Chen Qingyun realized that there are still too few live magic weapons that can be fused. How to fuse them, I still have to think about it. Don't rush to fuse, let's try this analysis talent first. Among the magic weapons, Chen Qingyun selected a demon breaking shuttle and began to try the analysis effect. Analysis. After the order was issued, the demon breaking shuttle flashed, split into 6 groups of light, and decomposed into 5 materials, and a weapon formula appeared in front of him. Chen Qingyun first paid attention to the recipe, which recorded the method of refining the demon breaking shuttle and recorded that it was a top-grade magic weapon. Refining materials: polar stone, yang fire essence stone, tungsten agate, Linyan sand, Kingsa copper, 239 array patterns required. Through this analysis, the raw materials required for refining were not only differentiated, but also the entire refining process was presented in front of him. Here, the 4 processes of smelting, fusion, shaping, and inscription array were recorded in detail, and the matters that need to be paid attention to. Chen Qingyun can refer to this recipe and use these materials as raw materials to refine a new demon breaking shuttle. The amount of material analyzed is exactly 1 portion. In order to verify the authenticity and accuracy of the analysis, Chen Qingyun took out a piece of red iron and refined part of the 100 refined steel, and quickly refined a red iron sword. Analyze the red iron sword. The red iron sword that had just come out of the furnace began to analyze and differentiate it into 3 groups of light. 2 of them are raw materials, red iron and 100 refined steel respectively. The other one is the recipe. Chen Qingyun looked at the recipe and compared it with his own refining method. By the way, the red iron sword needs to engrave 2 array patterns, and the description here is correct. Compared with the refining method he mastered, there is not much difference, or it is more reasonable, filling in some of the minor deficiencies. This is a perfect recipe, without any omissions or flaws. Seeing that this analysis talent is so useful, Chen Qingyun couldn't help but show his joy. One benefit of the emergence of this talent is that it can analyze magic tools and obtain materials, so as to make the best use of things and use local materials. Another benefit is that there is a way to learn 5th level magic tools. As long as you obtain a 5th level magic weapon for analysis, and get the refining materials and 2 recipes, you can copy the refining by yourself and improve your weapon refining skills. There are even secret refining recipes for some magic weapons. As long as you can get the magic weapon, you can get a glimpse of it and grasp the essence of it. The capabilities of this system are getting better and better. I originally thought that integration would be the limit, but I didn't expect that it could also activate the analysis function. Will other functions be activated after this? It's a bit of a wait and see. After familiarizing himself with the new functions of the system, Chen Qingyun finished counting the loot and began to think about how to fuse the first spiritual treasure. As the saying goes, a good horse deserves a good saddle. Baoang has reached the nascent soul stage, so he must be equipped with a spiritual treasure. He has the talent to strengthen magic weapons, so he will not lag behind others in this regard. Chen Qingyun quickly made a decision on which 3 magical instruments to choose for fusion. As a defensive magic weapon, I'll keep the heavenly transformation shield for now. You can try to fuse it with a fairy sword first, or fuse it with an offensive magic weapon first. Chen Qingyun thought about it and carefully selected 3 swords, the Thunder Demon Sword, the Purple Light Water Breaking Sword, and the Green Shadow Blue Sky Sword. As the symbol of the 5 elements sex skills, it is not easy to refine one as a natal magic weapon, and it has the miraculous effect of specifically cutting down spiritual thoughts. This effect is very important to Chen Qingyun, and he does not want to use it as a fusion material. If the Heavenly Thunder Demon Subduing Sword is continuously strengthened to the level of the ultimate natal magic weapon, it will inevitably attract the attention of the Star Sect and become curious about how the sword was promoted to this level. Since he didn't want to attract attention, Chen Qingyun decided to choose this magical weapon with limited growth and use it as a fusion material. Chapter 706, Tianyan Twin Swords, 14 Avatars. Under Chen Qingyun's control, the Thunder Sword started to be strengthened from the best magic weapon. After 4 consecutive strengthenings, 181,404 strengthening points were consumed, and it reached the 4th level best in one fell swoop. The remaining strengthening points were 76,591. Now, the 3 best fusion materials have been gathered. Chen Qingyun took a deep breath and chose to start the fusion. After 300 strengthening points were deducted, the 3 immortal swords emitted golden light and began to merge together, forming a larger ball of light. In just a moment, the fusion was quickly achieved, and 2 brand new immortal swords appeared in front of Chen Qingyun, and the specific information was revealed. Tianyan Shuangjian, a 5th level lower grade spiritual treasure, has extremely strong attack power, contains thunder secret power, can restrain demons, and can also automatically launch attacks and defenses. After the 3 magic weapons were successfully fused, they had unique effects, and they were automatically named and could be renamed. Tianyan Shuangjian. After obtaining the first spiritual treasure, Chen Qingyun's eyes were full of light, and he picked it up and looked at it carefully. Because they were personally fused and forged, the pair of Tianyan double swords actually conveyed a sense of familiarity when held in the hands. This allowed Chen Qingyun to master this spiritual treasure immediately and skillfully, without any unfamiliarity, and without the need to practice to get used to it. The power gap between the spiritual treasure and the natal magic weapon can be clearly felt even if it is not used now. With the power of this pair of Tianyan double swords, it is no exaggeration to say that it has exceeded the total power of the 4th level magic weapons such as Tangsu Sword and Huashan Shield. The magic weapons below the spiritual treasure can be killed instantly with one sword by the Tianyan double swords. This first spiritual treasure was equipped on Bawang. With a thought, the Tianyan double swords burst out with sharp sword light, which split into hundreds of golden small swords, all suspended in the air around Bawang, forming a circle of sword and shield defense. In Bawang's current state, even if he stands there, he can still be attacked by cultivators below the nascent soul stage without any damage. Using a small golden sword casually is enough to kill any giant and cultivator. The power brought by the spiritual treasure is so strong. With the strength of the nascent soul stage, coupled with this spiritual treasure, looking at the entire star sea, how many people can stop me? Even if I go to the 10,000 monsters sea and face the pursuit of the Kua Snake Cave again, I finally don't have to hide like a rat. I can at least fight against the master of the Kua Snake Cave. The appearance of the Tianyan twin swords once again gave Chen Qingyun a boost of confidence, and he was no longer afraid of the pursuit of the Kua Snake Cave. Putting away the Tianyan twin swords, Chen Qingyun looked at the remaining enhancement points, which were less than 80,000. He originally decided to accumulate them first, and when they reached 280,000 or 290,000, he would also enhance Jiuyu to the nascent soul stage. But considering that it is obviously not an easy task to collect so many magic tools, it is rare to have a large number of magic tools, such as the Great Harvest from the 5 Elements Sect ruins. To purchase broken magic tools from the market, it takes more than 200,000 reinforcement points to collect. It will take a long time to complete this, and it will also attract more attention. Since a large number of high-level puppets will be manufactured in the future, these reinforcement points should be used if they can be used. The 4 clones of Xuanwu, Hanbing, Shuishan, and Tanlai are all at the peak of the Purple Mansion. It's time to improve their strength. Chen Qingyun made up his mind to strengthen the 4 clones of Xuanwu one by one, and upgraded them to the early stage of Jinden, and promoted them to the 4th level magic tools. The remaining reinforcement points are focused on strengthening the Qingguang sleeves, which are used to collect magic tools from the enemy. As for the Tangsu sword, it will also continue to be promoted in the future, so as to cooperate with the Qingguang sleeves. Fortunately, because the Tangsu sword can be nurtured by cultivation, the grade and power can be improved. Chen Qingyun directly put the Tangsu sword into Baoang's body, and prepared to use the Mon of the Yuanying period to continuously nurture this fairy sword, so as to upgrade it to the level of Ling Bao as soon as possible. There were still more than 4,000 strengthening points left. Chen Qingyun strengthened 20 more Qi refining puppets in one go, and all of them were upgraded to the late stage of foundation building. There were a lot of puppet materials in hand, and he could refine more 5 elements puppets. Naturally, he would refine them as much as he could to enhance his foundation. Next, Chen Qingyun spent half a day to refine 35 elements puppets. Then he strengthened these 30 new puppets to the early stage of foundation building, and the remaining dozens of strengthening points were temporarily kept. So far, I have 50 foundation building puppets and 8 purple mansion puppets. I have 6 clones, 4 in the early Jiandan stage, 1 in the early Yuanying stage, and 1 in the peak Jiandan stage. Before the 50 foundation building puppets are fused into the purple mansion stage, they should not be moved for the time being and continue to be strengthened. As for the purple mansion peak puppets, they can all be refined into clones. Chen Qingyun spent 3 days using the 8 desolations as his soul to differentiate and refine the 8 puppets of Fengling, Feizu, Fei, Huashan, Jianxian, Lion Blade, Bow and Arrow, and Tandao into clones. Now, there are a total of 14 clones in hand, which is equivalent to having 14 lives. It's worthy of being in the Yuanying stage. If I refine so many clones with the Jiandan stage, I will definitely not be able to bear it. With the strength of the Yuanying stage, I can just refine 8 or 9 clones. 14 clones stood in front of him. The lowest strength was the peak of the purple mansion, and the highest was the early Yuanying stage. Such a force is enough to travel freely in the Sea of Stars. If it comes to establishing a sect, Chen Qingyun is fully qualified. After completing the inventory of the harvest, looking at the sky outside the window, it is already noon. Since it was summer, the temperature was getting hot. Many Chen family members took a nap after lunch, or chatted with their palm leaf fans, looking happy. Flocks of seagulls were hunting on the coast, making bursts of chirping sounds, adding a bit of vitality to the island. Chen Qingyun put all his clones into the fairy palace, walked out of the room, and decided to go find Chen Qingyun. This trip to the 5 Elements sect ruins took almost a year and a half. Seeing Chen Qingyun again, after more than a year, Qingyun's weapon refining skills have made great progress and have reached the 2nd grade upper level, which surprised Chen Qingyun. After asking, it turned out that Chen Qingyun had been guiding him recently, and with good talent and high qualifications, it was not surprising that he could make such progress. As for Chen Qingyun's experience and what he did outside in the past year and a half, Chen Qingyun saw that his brother did not mention it on his own initiative, so he was sensible and did not ask. Seeing this, Chen Qingyun didn't need to hide it. Because they had signed an agreement, they couldn't leak any information to people outside the team. Chen Qingyun also needed to keep it secret. Brother, I have a batch of magic tools to give to you. These are all made by me. After chatting for a few words, Chen Qingyun smiled and took out a storage bag. Recently, my weapon refining skills have improved. I have refined a lot of magic tools. Brother, if you have any use for them, I will give them all to you. Chapter 707, Testing the Elixir, Family Status. Okay, thank you Qingyun. Since his sister has a gift for him, Chen Qingyun is not polite. Whatever magic weapon Chen Qingyun needs now, she can buy it by herself. With the attainments of a 2nd level weapon refiner, she can be completely self-sufficient. As for cultivation, Chen Qingyun can also surprise people, having reached the middle stage of the Purple Mansion from the early stage of the Purple Mansion. As a return gift, Chen Qingyun prepared to select some elixirs obtained from the 5 Elements sect, such as the Spirit Purple Pill, to give to Chen Qingyun. However, before that, he needs to consult Chen Dailin. It is necessary to verify the authenticity of these elixirs to see if there are any safety hazards. Although Mu Daoran is an alchemist, when everyone was dividing the elixirs, he personally checked the efficacy and quality of these elixirs and verified that there were no problems. But considering that Mu Daoran checked too quickly at the time, if he deliberately concealed something, it would be inappropriate to take it easily. Diseases come from the mouth, so it is always okay to be cautious and take precautions before they happen. During this chat with King Luan, Chen Qingyun took the opportunity to share some of his experience in refining instruments and gave King Luan some pointers on the way to refine instruments. It was not until the evening that King Luan waved and left. At the time agreed with Chen Qingyun for refining instruments, as was her recent habit. Chen Qingyun looked at the storage bag and found that there were more than 100 instruments in it, mainly of the second order, with only 12 of the first order. It has been less than 2 years since I left Zhenhai Island, and this little girl has actually refined so many instruments. She has put a lot of thought into it. Fortunately, her refining skills have improved very quickly. In terms of time, it takes about 3 or 4 days to refine one of these instruments, which shows how much effort Chen Qingyun put in. After sorting out these instruments and not disassembling them for the time being, Chen Qingyun finished summarizing the elixirs that he was going to exchange for the family, and then set off to Linjian Island and found Chen Dailin and Chen Xianming. The three of them gathered together, and Chen Qingyun expressed his thoughts. Knowing that Chen Qingyun actually had a Jiandan and a lot of foundation building pills in his hand, the two elders immediately showed shock and couldn't wait to check. They had never seen a real Jiandan in their lives, but only in books. Chen Qingyun took out a group of pills, mainly Jiandan, and asked the two elders to check. "It's a Jiandan, it's really a Jiandan." Chen Dailin took the lead and took 4 Jiandans to look at them carefully. He looked left and right for a long time. After verifying the authenticity of the pills, he couldn't help but said excitedly, Well, with these 4 Jiandans, the family can have 4 more Jiandan cultivators." Compared with practicing the great wilderness devouring demon art to form a pill, it is necessary to collect monster resources everywhere. With the Jiandan, there is another shortcut to form a pill, which can better concentrate resources and cultivate the clan members. Looking at the 12 foundation building pills, it is the same. These are all strategic resources and will not be sold to the outside world. Chen Dailin counted the number of these elixirs and checked them one by one. Finally, with Chen Xianming's nod, he exchanged with Chen Qingyun. Chen Qingyun first wanted to obtain magic tools and spiritual stones, so he obtained 3,000 red iron swords, 500 tortoise shell shields, and 2.6 million spiritual stones from the family. By the way, Chen Xianming also gave Chen Qingyun the salary and industry share in the past few years. After the exchange was completed, Chen Xianming couldn't help but ask about the purpose of these elixirs. Worried that Chen Qingyun had robbed them from some immortal family or a small force. Even if this was the case, they would choose to stand on Chen Qingyun's side, prepare in advance, and respond to the battle at any time. These elixirs were not robbed, and no one would come to the door. Since there is no problem with the elixir, you should store it in the clan library according to the rules, and then exchange it with them when there are clan members who need it. Chen Qingyun said. Chen Xianming and the others were both thoughtful. They looked at each other and had some guesses in their hearts. The two guessed the origin of these pills, and most likely they were obtained by exploring some cave ruins. In this regard, the two stopped asking, and would find a reason to explain the origin of these pills in the future. After returning, Chen Qingyun was concerned about the family and asked about the current development of the family, mainly focusing on the number of cultivators in the family. The current Chen family is recognized as a golden elixir family. Due to its rapid development, its total population is even worse than some purple mansion families. This is indeed a problem, and it is also what Chen Qingyun wants to solve. Speaking of the family population, Chen Xianming said seriously, "Our family has a small population, and we have not accepted foreign blood on a large scale, nor have we annexed other families to expand ourselves. The reason why we didn't do this is that we considered that if we annex too much, we would be the host instead. In addition, the strength of a family is not reflected by the large number of clan members. The most important thing is the strong strength of the family's senior cultivators, and the endless stream of geniuses in the family. Fortunately, in recent years, many Purple Mansion cultivators have been born in the family, and you and I are two golden elixir cultivators to maintain the stability of the family. This is the ability to maintain the stability of the family. As long as the senior members of the family are all members of our Chen family, and the core strength of the family has always been the pillar, then the Chen family is still our Chen family. At this point, Chen Xianming mentioned the population growth plan that was recently implemented, and has been actively recruiting family cultivators and some good character cultivators to join the Chen family. With the golden signboard of the Jiandan family, many small families and outstanding independent cultivators are very attractive, and they want to lean on the big tree of the Chen family for shade. In recent years, more than a dozen qi refining and foundation building families have taken the initiative to marry us, and sent many young girls to marry our Chen family sons. Among these young girls, although only about half have spiritual roots, or 5 or 4 spiritual roots, they also have some cultivation bloodlines and gave birth to some immortal seedlings for our Chen family. As Chen Xianming described in detail, Chen Qingyun learned that the current population size of the Chen family is expanding rapidly. The current Chen family is not only absorbing cultivators from the Xingsha Islands to join, recruiting sons-in-law, and marrying partners. This absorption range has expanded to the entire inner star sea, and even part of the outer star sea. Especially when the outside world learned that the Chen family had 2 patrolling star envoys, Chen Qingyun and Chen Qingyun, they had a higher degree of recognition of the Chen family. The star sect had already figured out the family tradition of the Chen family and whether they were worth making friends with in order to become star patrol envoys. Otherwise, the star sect would not have invited Chen Qingyun and Chen Qingyun to become star patrol envoys. This recognition from the star sect further elevated the status of the Chen family, making joining the Chen family a dream for many people. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 708, Rat Shit. Eliminate hidden dangers. Not only does it have the signboard of the patrol star envoy and the recognition of the star sect. In addition, in front of them, the Yang family of Hongshan Island, the Zhang family of Chu Island, the Sicha family, etc., had cooperated with the Chen family early, made marriages, and reaped the benefits. This allowed these families to take advantage of the east wind, and the signs were booming, accelerating the development process. How many benefits are there here is too easy to distinguish. It is precisely because of these factors that the Chen family has become a place to live and practice, and is highly recognized by the outside world. Up to now, the population of the Chen family has exceeded 100,000, and the number of cultivators has increased to 322. The last time I asked about the family population, it was just over 50,000. And there were only more than 120 cultivators, and it had developed to the C generation. The immortal way is evergreen, thinking of the virtuous and thinking of progress, knowing books and observing etiquette, and clarifying the ambitions of the star seed. According to the family genealogy, it has now developed to the Jin generation, and the youngest cultivator is the 6-year-old Chen Jincheng. In the field of cultivating immortal arts, the family currently inherits the 5 ways of refining equipment, refining pills, making talismans, controlling beasts and array formations. In the field of refining equipment, Chen Qingyun takes the lead, followed by Chen Qingyun, Chen Daoran, Chen Qingyun, Chen Qingluan and others. In the field of refining pills, Chen Dalan is the leader, and he trains Chen Qinglai, Chen Qingnian, Chen Xianbing, Chen Nianhong and others. In terms of making talismans, Chen Nianhui is at the forefront, and Chen Nianlong is also talented. It is particularly worth mentioning that Chen Nianwei has also received the true teachings of Liu Zilin. It is estimated that in a few years, he will also give back to the family and cultivate talents from making talismans for the family. In terms of array formations, it is Chen Qingyun and Chen Qingyun, as well as several people of the C generation who are following and learning, and have close contacts with the Zhang family cultivators. There are also Zhang family array masters who married in, supplementing several array talents. In the field of controlling beasts, Chen Douhai is self-taught and has developed well. He is already a second-level beast master. The Zhu family also married 3 beast masters. If I were to talk about these in detail, it would take too long to finish, so Chen Xianmin simply summarize them. In short, the family's population will continue to expand. These family elders have begun to fail to recognize some of the new generation of descendants because they are several generations apart. For example, when Chen Xianmin sees a young Jin generation, he has to think about which descendant's child this is for a while. Not only Chen Xianming, but also the older generation such as Chen Dailin are not familiar with the new generation of cultivators in the family. In fact, when Chen Qingyun returns to the family now and sees some new faces, he also fails to recognize them. If he were not a mythical figure in the family, he would be valued by the family, and he would often hear some rumors about him, and there would be portraits recording what he looks like. Otherwise these younger generations would not recognize him. This is also the most common thing in the cultivation family. As the younger generation continues to increase, they will feel alienated and distant from the elder cultivators of the family, and the two are no longer people of the same period. At this time, without the introduction of the elders, a group of clansmen gathered together, and some people really couldn't tell who was whose descendant and how to address them accurately. Strangeness and distance are just one of them. Chen Qingyun has noticed in recent years that starting from the Xian generation and then the Si generation, in these 2 generations of cultivators, some arrogant people gradually appeared. To have this kind of mentality, in simple terms, is to be born with a golden key. Born in a giant family, there is a sense of superiority in the bones, thinking that they are different from ordinary people and are the protagonists of heaven and earth. Often, when this kind of character is developed, either the elders correct it in time and wear down the arrogance, so as not to be arrogant and domineering outside and bring discredit to the family. Or they are thrown out to experience it well, see what it means that there are people beyond people and there are heavens beyond heaven, and hone a mature and stable mind. Don't always think that you are so great, and you are not afraid of heaven or earth with the support of the family. Thinking of this problem, Chen Qingyun realized that he couldn't just leave it alone and had to eliminate this hidden danger. He found a topic and mentioned it. Chen Xianmin understood it immediately and sighed. You reminded me the point. Among the Qing generation, you, Qingnan, and Qingyun are very sensible and willing to take the initiative to think about the family and solve problems for us old bones. Indeed, this problem you mentioned has appeared in the 2nd year since we were promoted to the Jiandan family. It first appeared in Chen Xianlian. Chen Xianming talked about the past. Back then, Chen Xianlian was assigned by the family to go to the Zhu family in Qingguang Mountain for an exchange to learn the way of beast control. During the 3 years, he felt that he was superior to others and was overly arrogant to the younger generation of the Zhu family. In order not to offend the Chen family and lose this reliable ally, the Zhu family could only tolerate Chen Xianlian's arrogance as much as possible, and suffered a lot of losses. Later, Chen Xianmin was keenly aware of something wrong and found that the Zhu family, whether young or old, tried to avoid Chen Xianlian. They only sat down to talk when they were teaching him the art of beast control. In the process of learning beast control, Chen Xianlian was often impatient, and deliberately tortured some spirit beasts, which made the Zhu family's cultivators feel sorry for the spirit beasts and could only report to the family's top leaders and swallow their anger temporarily. It was the Zhu family's forbearance and concession that made Chen Xianlian more unscrupulous and aggressive. There was even one time when he was so bold that he took away a nest of silver-winged sparrow eggs to eat with wine. This silver-winged sparrow is a first-class spiritual beast, which has the wonderful use of tracking and detecting the environment. It is a family treasure that has been passed down by the Zhou family for more than 300 years. Silver-winged sparrows only reproduce once every 10 years, and only reproduce 3 times in their lifetime. Chen Xianliang emptied a nest of silver-winged bird eggs, a total of 16. When they found it, the eggs had been cooked and served on the table as a side dish. This made the 2 elders of the Zhou family who saw this scene so angry that they wanted to fly into a rage and slap Chen Xianliang to death. If it weren't for the protection of the Chen family, Chen Xianliang would definitely not survive that night. What happened afterwards was that the Zhou family still thought they were unlucky and buried the bones of the bird and beast. The head of the Zhou family was so angry that he took the initiative to reveal the matter to Chen Xianmin and asked the Chen family to take Chen Xianliang away and replace him with a younger generation. These situations were all communicated by Chen Xianmin personally with the head of the Zhou family, and learned from the euphemistic words of the head of the Zhou family. In order to solve the problem later, Chen Xianming went to the Zhou family as soon as possible, apologized and paid compensation. This matter concerned the friendship between the 2 families and the reputation of the Chen family. Chen Xianming was clear about public and private affairs and was reasonable. He came forward to solve the matter. Afterwards, Chen Xianliang was taken to the family that day and was punished to be confined to the ancestral temple for a year to repent, to wear down his arrogance, and not to set foot in the Zhou family again in the future. After learning about this past, Chen Qingyun sighed slightly. How could such a rat shit appear in the younger generation of this family? I have not lived in Lingjian Island for many years, and I don't know much about some things in the family. It seems that I have to pay attention to this aspect and pay more attention to the family in the future. Chapter 709, Knowledge and Etiquette. The incident involving Chen Xianliang itself damages the image of the Chen family. If it spreads too widely, it will naturally not be a good thing. Family disgrace should not be made public, and it should be kept secret if possible. Chen Xianmin continued to narrate. The family is getting better and better now, and it is constantly prospering. Under the seemingly bright future, there are always some shortcomings hidden. It really takes more effort to teach future generations to be loyal to the family and have both moral integrity and talent. To be honest, I am not afraid of you laughing at me. For several years, I have rarely seen the descendants of the 3 generations of Xian, Si, and Jin who can sacrifice their lives for the family. When the family was still weak in the past, we would rather save money and work hard to supplement the family, and you were willing to take the initiative to make concessions and go to guard Zhenhai Island. And, as long as you listen, if we hear that there is an opportunity to fight for, we will immediately gather around like sharks smelling blood and try our best to fight for those opportunities. I still remember clearly that year. In order to fight for the Xuanyu grass, you fought side by side with Daoran, Dalin, Qingfeng, and Qingguang, and subdued the golden-winged mantis at the risk of your life, and brought back the Xuanyu grass. Although I did not participate in that battle, I still remember it clearly. The development of the family today is inseparable from your efforts in that battle. Chen Xianming recalled the past and felt quite emotional. After that, we followed the Xingzong's conquest and joined the battle of the Xinghai Monster Tide. How could we be afraid? The family was almost full of elites. It was also during those years of conquest that we won a lot of dividends. You were the first to enter the Zaifu period. These past events, when mentioned alone, I don't think there is anything shocking. At most, I cite a few words. But compared with the family's latest 3-generation monks, the gap is immediately apparent. It's no exaggeration. Without these life and death trials, and the pressure of competing for the top due to the family's predicament. Now the new generation of monks in the family, while enjoying the generous treatment and protection of the family, can easily grow into flowers in a greenhouse. This arrogance, frivolity, and youthful enthusiasm are normal. But without the struggle and enthusiasm, just wanting to rely on the family to enjoy the mentality, this approach is definitely not advisable. If this is arrogant enough to act recklessly outside, discredit the family and ruin its reputation, it will be a shame for the family. Well, Some of the younger generations of the new generation are now arrogant and have high expectations but low skills. This matter cannot be delayed. While we encourage these younger generations to go out for experience and temper their character, we must also pay attention to cultivating their personality and character, and they must never become the rat shit that ruins the pot of porridge. Chen Qingyun said, "This has a bit of the taste of learning thoughts and morals in the previous life. The family cultivators must not be lax in this regard and must be caught. Sects such as Xingzong, Lingbao Mountain, and Yaoang Mountain have issued various sect rules early on to restrict the behavior of disciples outside. The birth of the sect discipline hall also came from this, which will supervise the behavior of disciples and their conduct. The immortal way is evergreen. Remember the virtuous and think about progress. Know books and observe etiquette, and be clear about the sea of stars." When the ancestors founded the Chen family, they had already expected to encounter such a problem. So, they listed knowing books and observing etiquette in the family tree early on, which is to remind us descendants not to ignore the character of being a person. Chen Xianming said. After talking with the old patriarch for a long time, Chen Qingyun was able to reach a lot of consistent ideas. After making suggestions, the old patriarch basically understood and adopted them one by one. Chen Xianming served as the head of the family and has been working hard for the family until today, although the family is becoming more and more prosperous and developing very impressively. But because he had to maintain the dignity of the patriarch, he was busy with family affairs for a long time, including various trivial matters, and he had to take care of his own practice. This made Chen Xianming very busy, and he had no time to communicate with the new generation of the family. As time went by, he finally sat down and talked. Only a few high-level monks in the family, such as Chen Dalin, Chen Daoran, Chen Qingfeng, and Chen Qingyun, could feel the time flies by. Chen Qingyun also had this feeling. Now he would be like Chen Xianming. Once he had something on his mind or wanted to chat, he would only choose the familiar relatives such as the old patriarch, Chen Dalin, Chen Qingfeng, and Chen Qingyun. For the new generation of monks in the family, there was a gap between the times, and it was easy to feel unfamiliar, and it was not necessarily possible to open up. Even Chen Qingyun now felt that he did not have much affection for the Xian generation and the younger generations after him, and he would not be as close as a family. In terms of affection, he was far inferior to the relatives before the Xian generation. Thinking of this, Chen Qingyun felt mixed emotions. All things in this world are like the rise and fall of waves. The higher the cultivation level of a cultivator and the longer he lives, the more he will gradually watch his loved ones return to the dust one by one, and experience the powerlessness brought by the ruthlessness of the Great Way. Once you're deeply trapped in this kind of sadness and powerlessness, your own cultivation will be hindered and it will be difficult to concentrate on practicing. It may even breed inner demons, which will easily lead to wasting time and making it difficult to achieve the Great Way of immortality. Therefore, it is often said that if you want to achieve the Tao and become an immortal, the first thing you need to do is to forget your emotions. That is, to forget your emotions. The forgetfulness here does not mean being free of desire and emotion. But while having feelings, they will not be bound by them, will not be trapped by them, and will take the initiative to give up some meaningless emotions. For the family affection, love, friendship, and master-disciple affection in the mortal world, cultivators must weigh the pros and cons, give up appropriately, in order to strengthen their own ideas and eliminate distractions. This is also the source of the difference between immortals and mortals. But as a human being, it is inevitable to have feelings. How can it be so easy to give up? For cultivators of our generation, what we seek is freedom and freedom. After a heartfelt conversation, the two looked out the window again. It was already the morning of the next day. Chen Qingyun was just about to get up and leave, so as not to delay the old patriarch from handling family affairs. At this time, someone came to report outside the hall, saying that a younger generation of the family claimed to want to see him. Who is so disrespectful? If you have anything, you should go to the elders of the clan first. Why did you come directly to me? Chen Xianming raised his eyebrows. The family cultivator who reported was from the Nyan generation, named Chen Qingyun, and he was currently at the 8th level of Qi refining. Chen Qingyun had some impression of this junior. This person was a fairy seedling discovered in Linxi County. From the perspective of seniority, he was the grandson of Chen Qingyun. Seeing that the clan leader was unhappy, Chen Qingyun hurriedly said respectfully, "Clan leader, the person coming is Chen Xishan." Chen Xishan, I remember that he recently obeyed the family mission and went out to hone his skills. How come he found me here before completing the mission? Chen Qingyun shook his head and responded, "I don't know, but I heard that he has been looking for the foundation building pill recently. I'm afraid he came here for the foundation building pill." When he heard that another junior came to seek the foundation building pill, Chen Xianming nodded. Let him in. Chapter 710, Farce in the Palace. After Chen Xianming's permission, Chen Qingyun went down to report, and a young man in green came to the hall and saluted Chen Xianming. "Junior Chen Xishan, meet the clan leader. Meet the 6th elder." When he saw Chen Qingyun, Chen Xishan recognized him, and with awe in his eyes, he greeted the 6th elder. "Well, according to the clan rules, you still have about a year of training period. Why are you returning to the family early now?" Chen Xianming said lightly. As an elder, he still asked with concern. "Did you encounter any difficulties when you were away from home?" Chen Xishan knew that according to the clan rules, it would be inappropriate to come back early at this time, and he would be blamed. Because of his guilty conscience, he didn't want to say more about it, so he just bowed and responded, "Thank you for your concern, clan leader. This time, I will continue the training." As soon as the voice fell, he immediately changed the subject. "I came here to ask for something." Chen Xianming was already an old hand, so he could see what Chen Xishan was thinking, and he was obviously unwilling to say more. Seeing this, Chen Xianming did not point it out. After a pause, he went straight to the point and said, "You want the foundation building pill, have you prepared all the merits?" When he heard about the merits, Chen Xishan looked embarrassed and was thinking about how to start. But thinking that he had come here, he gritted his teeth and mustered up the courage to say, "Master Patriarch, I am currently short of about 8,000 merits, so I haven't gathered 10,000 merits yet." 8,000 merits may not seem like much, but for a Qi refining cultivator, it is not easy to accumulate so many merits. Chen Xishan dared to think and act, and before Chen Xianming could answer, he immediately put forward his own ideas. "But I heard that the clan currently has enough foundation building pills. I thought it would be better to owe 8,000 merits and let me exchange one foundation building pill for foundation building. After the foundation building is successful, I will return the remaining merits as soon as possible. I hope the clan leader will help me." Hearing this, Chen Qingyun's eyes turned and he couldn't help but look at this junior more. From the perspective of cultivation, Chen Xishan's cultivation is not bad. He has already reached the 9th level of Qi refining. It seems that he has relied on resources to break through and advance. At present, it is indeed possible to try to build a foundation, which requires a foundation building pill. However, there are still so many merits missing, and this foundation building pill may not be easy to exchange. When Chen Qingyun was thinking, he looked at Chen Xianming's expression and frowned at this time, as if Chen Xishan's proposal did not conform to the rules. Sure enough, Chen Xianming's next words confirmed the conjecture. Since 16 years ago, the family has established the exchange rules for foundation building pills. For the sake of fairness, as long as one of you reaches the 9th level of Qi refining, you can ask relatives and friends to collect 10,000 merits to exchange for one pill, and the maximum exchange quantity is 2. If the merits are not collected, you can only continue to work hard, but there is no such thing as owing the family first. Patriarch, my situation is special, please make an exception once. When he heard that there was no hope if he owed merits, Chen Xishan showed a bitter look and begged. "I have been practicing hard for many years and now I can finally build my foundation. If I delay for a few more years, it will affect my future path. Patriarch, do you want to see this? I don't think you want to. And there are quite a few foundation building pills in the family. I'll keep them anyway, so it won't be a problem to exchange one for me first. The purpose of these foundation building pills is to serve us, the younger generation in the Qi refining stage. Wait until I succeed in building my foundation, and then go out to continue training for a year or two. Maybe I'll encounter some extraordinary opportunities. If I find a spiritual vein mine, or even a spiritual stone mine, I will be able to repay the merits I owe very quickly. Patriarch, why don't you be so kind as to give me a favor and make an exception? Okay, no need to say. Chen Xianming's face was full of majesty, and he refused directly. The state has its own laws, and the family has its own rules. No matter how many foundation building pills there are in the clan, they must be handled according to the rules and cannot be broken at will. If everyone follows your example and asks me for back doors, how much resources will be left in the clan treasury? The family can exchange 10,000 merits, which is already the maximum profit. You have been training outside for the past 2 years. Don't you know what the price of a foundation building pill is outside? After these words came out, Chen Qingyun was speechless. He immediately recalled that he had inquired about the price of foundation building pills during his training outside for the past 2 years. The premium of that foundation building pill was about 12,000 or 13,000 spirit stones, and this was when there was a supply. Most of the time, foundation building pills are hard to find and extremely precious. Thinking of this, Chen Qingyun was still somewhat reluctant in his heart. He did not answer Chen Xianming's question, but said stubbornly, outside is outside. Their foundation building pills are rare, and the high price is understandable, not like our family. But our family has so many foundation building pills, why not take them out and let us, the younger generation, build our foundation first, which can also improve the strength of the family. Isn't it a good thing to have more foundation building cultivators in the family? Hearing this, Chen Xianming felt that Chen Qingyun's thoughts were more worrying, so he didn't mean to explain more, and said directly, if you want to borrow, you should also understand that there is a limit to borrowing. If you are only a few hundred merits short, I can lend it to you in my personal name to help you build your foundation first. But this is a difference of 8,000 merits, which is too much. The iron must be strong itself. You should do more for the family, work harder. This is the same for anyone who comes, not just for you. That's all I have to say. Don't say anything more, you can leave. Chen Xianming was a bit earnest, so he waved his hand, didn't want to waste any more words, and issued an order to expel him. Patriarch. Chen Qingyun thought of the boast he had made among several peers in the family, saying that he would definitely build his foundation within 2 years. Seeing that the exchange was impossible, he secretly clenched his fists, and was actually a little angry. He didn't care about that much. His eyes turned, glanced at Chen Qingyun, and whispered meaningfully. The family was particularly fond of the 6th elder before, giving away free resources worth millions of yuan, and also a lot of magic tools. It was really enviable. But why can't I even owe a little merit to exchange for a foundation building pill? It's really biased. How could this muttering be hidden from the ears of Chen Xianming and Chen Qingyun, 2 giant and cultivators? Asshole, shut up. The moment Chen Qingyun finished speaking, a shout suddenly rang out in the hall, and the tone was as loud as a bell, shaking the whole hall. Chapter 711 Angry Chen Xianming. What's going on? Outside the hall, Chen Qingyun was attracted by this angry rebuke and couldn't help but look sideways. He saw Chen Qingyun trembling in fright and taking a few steps back. What did this kid say to make the clan leader so angry? Now he's asking for trouble. Chen Qingyun pricked up his ears and paid attention to the movements in the hall. In the hall, Chen Xianming could remain calm before, but now he could no longer remain calm. His face showed majesty and anger as he stared at Chen Qingyun and scolded him. Chen Sishan, don't think that since you're a descendant of my Chen family, I won't do anything to you. Before you were born, the sixth elder was already working hard for the family. Whether it is taking the initiative to guard Zhenhai Island, discovering the spiritual veins of Psychedelic Island, establishing a weapon refining workshop, or participating in the Star Sex campaign to contribute to the family. Even later, he helped the family obtain the White Stone veins, shared many magical powers and techniques, and brought strategic resources such as foundation building pills to the family. How can you compare with any of these achievements? Ask yourself carefully, what qualifications do you have to compare with the sixth elder? Chen Xianming had an angry look on his face and continued to scold him mercilessly. Our Chen family has come this far. You have been able to rely on the Jianden family since you were born and enjoy the dividends brought by the family. This is largely due to the efforts of the sixth elder. Don't forget the well digger when you are ready. There are no sixth elders, and the family does not have so many foundation establishment pills. If you want to redeem the foundation establishment pills, you just want to eat it. The golden elixir aura in Chen Xianming's body was released without any reservation, filling Chen Sishan's body. Facing such a powerful aura, Chen Sishan was like a turtle with his head shrinking, not daring to fart. Chen Qingyun stood aside calmly, just watching quietly, feeling a little disappointed in Chen Sishan. Don't let me hear what you just said a second time, and don't talk about it behind your back. If it were any other elder in the family who heard your remarks and was so disrespectful to the sixth elder, he would have to strip you of your skin. Chen Xianming calmed down and was not too disqualified. Finally, he waved his hand and used a burst of magic power to sweep Chen Sishan out of the hall. From now on, your training period will be extended by 3 years. I will give you a good training to prevent you from talking nonsense and disturbing the hearts of my family. The sixth elder's contribution to the family will not be allowed to be questioned by you. This matter is settled like this. It's useless for you to plead with anyone. I will issue an order later. After Chen Sishan was rolled out of the hall, he let out a loud scream and fell to the ground so hard that his buttocks exploded. After a burst of rustling footsteps, silence returned to the outside of the palace. It was obvious that someone was fleeing in embarrassment. At this time, only Chen Xianming and Chen Qingyun were left in the palace. Hey, it's not easy to succeed but it's easy to fail. Why does our Chen family have such a junior? It's really not a worry. Chen Xianming sighed heavily and returned to his affable appearance in front of Chen Qingyun, completely different from his previous majestic and solemn appearance. Qingyun, you saw it too. As a clan leader, it is not easy for a bowl of water to be balanced. Family rules must be strictly followed. Favoritism and cheating are not tolerated. Chen Qingyun nodded. Chen Sishan still lacks about 8,000 meritorious deeds, so it is somewhat unreasonable to exchange for the foundation establishment pill. If the difference is only 1 or 2,000, then it's still reasonable, and it can be exchanged for a little favor. What surprised him the most was the sentence after Chen Sishan. The purpose of the foundation establishment bill is to serve younger generations like them. This is true. But in this case, with this intention in mind, he wanted to sit back and enjoy the success, so the family naturally gave him a foundation building pill. If I agree this time, I won't say whether I'm convinced or not. In the future, Chen Sishan will probably push further and ask for more resources in advance. As Chen Xianming said just now, if other clan members follow this move one by one, this family will be in chaos. Therefore, you have to refuse if you should, and you must not violate family rules. If this matter were in the sect, Chen Sishan would not have the opportunity to say so many words, and he would be kicked out directly. In order to achieve long-term development and be as fair and just as possible, it is indeed feasible for the Zhuxian family to imitate the sect system. As for Chen Sishan's comparison with himself just now, Chen Qingyun didn't take it to heart and laughed it off. Qingyun, I'm not afraid of your jokes. The family still has a long way to go in managing and cultivating the younger generations. We must set an example and abide by the family rules. Now that Chen Qingyun has seen this scene, Chen Xianming also told that there are many such examples recently. In the family, there will more or less be some people who just sit back and enjoy the success, without working hard, and want to rely on the family's support and suck the blood of the family. Every family has its own scriptures that are difficult to recite, and the same applies to other Jiandan families, so it is very important to formulate and abide by family rules. As the head of the clan, Chen Xianming must set an example and will not violate family rules. Now that he has returned to his clan, Chen Qingyun sees the shortcomings of the family business. These problems need to be improved in time. While continuing to improve the family rules, we must encourage the younger generations to venture into the secret realm of the Holy Land and practice more outside. On the same day, Chen Xianming personally held a family meeting, where he mentioned Chen Xishan's actions today, criticized him by name, and issued orders. From today, for the next 3 years, Chen Xishan is not allowed to return to the clan. He must experience 3 years outside to temper his spirit and temper his character. Chen Xianming's killing chickens to scare monkeys attracted the approval of Chen Dailin, Chen Qingfeng and other family leaders. It is worth mentioning that after learning that Chen Xishan was disrespectful to Chen Qingyun and said such a weird thing, Chen Qingfeng completely ignored the face of the elders and kicked Chen Xishan in public without being stopped by others. His action directly made Chen Xishan kneel down and admit his mistake, revealing a crying voice. After this incident, Chen Xishan finally realized his mistake and realized how great Chen Qingyun's contribution to the family was. It cannot be questioned, let alone blasphemed. On the same day, Chen Xishan obediently left Lingjian Island and began to go out for training. On the second day, after Chen Qingyun flew away from Lingjian Island, he returned to Zhenhai Island and gave Lingxidan and some second-level and third-level pills to Qingguang. After returning to the family, Chen Qingyun realized that the training of his sister could no longer focus only on cultivation. She also needed to be guided to hone her mental character, and to establish correct values and 3 views. If I have time recently, I still have to take Qingguang out for more walks, gain some knowledge and experience, and hone her skills. The Tangai Cave Mansion just needs to speed up the production of the teleportation order. Chen Qingyun made up his mind, then thought of the teleportation array and entered the Tangai Cave Mansion. Chapter 712 Liu Zilan's Dan Formation. This Tangai Cave Mansion, under the control of Chen Qingyun, has been docked on the edge of Zhenhai Island and entrenched on the seabed as a hidden cave. Chen Qingyun also knows about the existence of this cave, but without Chen Qingyun's assistance, he can't enter and exit at will by using the Tangsu sword to open the cave formation. The same is true for Chen Xianming and his family. Entering the cave again, Chen Qingyun went directly to the secret room and fumbled around the cross-sea teleportation array. The notes left by the Tangai ancestor did not record where this teleportation array was connected to. Now we still lack the most critical teleportation order. This is the problem I urgently need to solve. Only by refining the teleportation order can we solve this mystery. I hope the other end of this teleportation array is outside the Wanjiantu Sea, or even directly teleport out of the inner sea and land on the mainland. There is not much information left about this teleportation array, and there is no introduction to the level. However, during the Battle of the Star Sea Monster Tide, he had assisted the Star Sect in building a teleportation array on Xialong Island, so Chen Qingyun knew a thing or two about the teleportation array. Even if he couldn't build it, he could still understand some of the basics. The teleportation array has no specific grades. It originated from the ancient times, in order to facilitate long-distance raids, across major states and vast seas. The ancient monks painstakingly studied the laws of space and finally created it. Apart from its commercial value, it is used more in the sects to provide timely reinforcements at critical moments and in a short period of time. For example, during the Star Sea Monster Tide, the Star Sect opened the teleportation array to the outside world, using it as a reliance for the transportation of monks and materials, which greatly saved time and gained a combat advantage. As far as Chen Qingyun knows, in the glorious period of the ancient times, those top sects ruled millions of miles of territory, and the scope of the mountain gates had reached an unimaginable height. In order to facilitate the communication of disciples in the sect and maintain rule. Those ancient sects would build some small teleportation arrays in the mountain gate, and they could teleport from the east to the north of the sect in the blink of an eye. Unfortunately, due to the end of the ancient times, all kinds of great masters almost disappeared and left no inheritance. This caused a big gap in the field of teleportation arrays, and later generations could only rely on very few books and classics to slowly move forward. For example, in the Xinghai cultivation world, only the Xingzong has publicly revealed it can make teleportation arrays. Like the Tangai ancestor, or a very small number of hermit cultivators, the formations are really rare, and it is difficult to raise funds to build a teleportation array. And a teleportation array is very particular about the site selection. The most basic construction condition is that it needs to be built in a solid place on the earth, and a solid foundation must be laid with ground stabilizing stones to ensure that the teleportation array can withstand the power of the formation when it is operating at high intensity. This also makes the general teleportation array very demanding in terms of construction site selection. Basically, it will not be built on a small island, but will be built in a place with a huge area and many rocks. Xingzong built the teleportation array according to this requirement. Each one is built on a large island, and a very solid foundation is built around it, which can withstand thousands of years of wind and rain and earthquakes. Although the teleportation array in front of us is built in a movable cave, the materials used are not ambiguous at all. Before, Chen Qingyun's refining skills were not good, and his cognition was limited, so he could not see what materials were used in this teleportation array. Now, after careful exploration, it is found that the foundation of this teleportation array is actually made of Zhenshin stone. This Zhenshin stone is a 5th level ore, because of its hard material, good cohesion, and the magical effect of self-repair. It is one of the best materials for refining defensive spiritual treasures. The foundation of this teleportation array is made of a large piece of Zhenshin stone, about 300 square meters. Chen Qingyun looked at it for a while, testing the strength of the foundation. You used the moon blade to chop it, but it could only leave a white mark, which then slowly healed and disappeared. It can withstand the attack of the 4th level top-grade magic weapon. This Zhenshin stone is indeed not simple. Such a large piece is at least more than 1 million spirit stones. It can make the Tangai ancestor so willing to spend money. This teleportation array is definitely extraordinary. After careful exploration, Chen Qingyun became more curious about where the other area connected to this teleportation array is. The only thing to do now is to find the void crystal. Then invite a 3rd level talisman maker to help him create a teleportation order. With the teleportation order, the teleportation array can be activated. Chen Qingyun was about to start looking for the void crystal and find out where he could get it. At this time, a communication talisman sounded on his body. The familiar communication talisman opened and saw that it was a message from Liu Zilin. Great, Qingyun, I have broken through the Jiandan stage. The content of the message was very concise, and there was a bit of joy in the text, which made Chen Qingyun's brows relax and a smile appeared unconsciously on the corners of his mouth. After more than 5 years of seclusion, I finally came out. Zilin is a talisman maker above the 3rd level. This teleportation order may be made by her. After leaving Tankuai Dongdong Mansion and coming to Lingbao Mountain, Chen Qingyun met Liu Zilin. After more than 5 years of not seeing each other, Liu Zilin's aura has changed, and she has reached the early stage of Jiandan. At this time, Liu Zilin looked more peaceful and gentle than before. Even if she stood there quietly, she was dazzling and could become the focus of attention. The two had not seen each other for a long time. They sat down and talked for a long time in joy. Chen Qingyun soon learned that Liu Zilin not only condensed the golden elixir this time, but also refined the wood bead into the 2nd danshan. This wood bead was obtained by Liu Zilin from the wood spirit domain of the secluded immortal mansion. The effect is that it can be 100% compatible with wood attribute cultivators, and it can be opened up into the 2nd danshan to achieve the effect of storing mana. The storage degree of this mana can be continuously expanded in the future. With the wood bead as the 2nd danshan, Liu Zilin's strength has been further enhanced. It can already rival the middle stage golden elixir cultivators and occupy a great advantage in the same level. I have benefited a lot from this retreat. At present, my weapon refining skills have reached the 4th level middle grade. In the near future, I will start to refine my own magic weapon. In addition, I want to strive for the 4th level middle grade of talisman making. Liu Zilin took the initiative to inform her recent plans. After breaking through the Jiandan stage, she has more time to learn talisman making and weapon refining. She will also start to teach her disciples carefully. This successful formation of the elixir made her feel very happy, and she was secretly happy that she had gradually caught up with Chen Qingyun. Chapter 713 The Origin of the Void Crystal. Liu Zilin was not too surprised when she sensed that Chen Qingyun's cultivation aura had reached the late stage of Jiandan. She had expected this. On the day Liu Zilin came out of quarantine, Chen Nianwei and others got the news and came to congratulate her one by one. Chen Nianwei was a little happy when he saw Chen Qingyun in the cave. She guessed that after her master came out of seclusion, he would definitely inform Uncle Qingyun of the news as soon as possible. The truth is indeed the case. After master came out of seclusion, the first thing on his mind was Uncle Qingyun. Chen Nian smiled and greeted Chen Qingyun, followed by 2 junior sisters, Zhuxiantu and Zitong. Congratulations, Master, for achieving the golden elixir path. Chen Nianwei, Zitong, and Zhuxiantu came here on an appointment to congratulate each other at this moment. Well, since I accepted you as my disciple and master, I started to retreat not long after I became my master. Now that I am out of retreat, if you have any questions about practice in the future, please come to me. Uncle Wan. She has worked hard these past 5 years. Liu Zilin smiled slightly. Chen Qingyun and Liu Zilin paid initial attention and found that among the 3 Chen Nianwei's cultivation had improved and reached the 8th level of qi refining. Zhuxiantu and Zitong have not changed much yet. The 3 of them continued to visit, and the next moment, Wan Yanren came one after another. When Chen Qingyun saw Wan Yanren again, the woman had finally broken through to the Xifu stage and was already an elder in Lingbao Mountain. After some congratulations, Wan Yanren took the initiative to mention the cultivation status of Chen Nianwei and the others in the past 5 years. They have not slackened off and have worked hard. Among them, in the 2nd year, she spent half a year in retreat and successfully opened the Z Mansion. Liu Zilin listened carefully and also congratulated Wan Yanren. My Taoism is not worth mentioning in front of you. It will probably be difficult for me to form elixirs in the future. If I can open up the Purple Mansion and become an elder in the sect, this is probably the end of my future. I am content with that. Wan Yanren had some feelings. As she grew older, her mood began to change and she became much more stable. She had no airs of senior sister in front of Liu Zilin. Liu Zilin saw Wan Yanren's hard work over the years, and after chatting for a few words, Zhu Yurong soon came to the cave. When Zhu Yurong, a master from the Xifu period, saw a disciple from the Jiandan period, although he felt bitter in his heart, he still sincerely congratulated him and stopped by to see Zhuxiantu. A few people got together and chatted about the changes in the sect in the past few years. The next day came. Waiting for Wan Yanren and others to leave, Chen Qingyun remembered the purpose of coming here. He first took out the mysterious blackwood obtained from the 5 Elements sect ruins to see if Liu Zilin recognized it. As an elder of Lingbao Shan, Liu Zilin has very rich experience in weapon refining, which is higher than Chen Qingyun. I took this black tree and looked at it for a while. It was pitch black, just like a piece of rotten wood. Liu Zilin studied it carefully for a while, shook her head, and said she didn't see anything, and didn't ask where this thing came from. Let me help you keep an eye on it. Maybe there will be records in some classics in the sect's library. This is the first time I have seen such wood. Being able to ask Chen Qingyun to take it out for questioning, she realized tacitly that this blackwood must not be simple. If you really want to take it out and explode a calendar, I am afraid that it will attract a lot of golden elixir monks and even nascent soul monks to fight for it. If you can't tell the difference, It can only be because you are not good at learning and lack experience. If this were an old monster that had lived for thousands of years, he would probably have recognized it at first sight and would have kept it tightly in his bag so as not to be exposed to others. Good. Haimu didn't know the origin for the time being, so Chen Qingyun could only put it away and asked about another thing. I came to you this time to ask you something. Can you refine the teleportation order? As soon as she heard the word transfer order, Liu Zilin immediately guessed something. She immediately checked the cave ban and made sure it was on. After isolating the conversation in the cave, she looked at Chen Qingyun seriously this time. Do you have a teleportation array in your hand? Void crystals are 4th to 5th level ores. They can not only be used to create teleportation arrays, but can also be used to refine 4th and 5th level magic weapons. But because it is too precious, no one in the Xinghai immortal world is willing to use it to refine magic weapons. It will be more inclined to be used to build teleportation arrays and refine them into teleportation orders. When the void crystal was mentioned, Liu Zilin could immediately think that it was related to the teleportation array. This was the reason. Chen Qingyun smiled faintly and nodded. Indeed, I still can't hide it from you. Chen Qingyun did not hide the matter at Danpupu Cave, and immediately briefly described it to Liu Zilin. Liu Zilin also heard about some of the famous giant and monks like the old man Tan Puppet, and heard about some of his deeds. Reminiscent of Chen Qingyun's previous puppet tricks, combined with Chen Qingyun's experience in Tan Puppet Cave Mansion, now I finally understand that the origin of these puppets is related to the 5 Elements sect. She didn't ask any more questions. She followed Chen Qingyun's thoughts and asked about the specific situation of the teleportation array. When she learned that the teleportation array had been built long ago but was missing a piece of teleportation order, she slowly spoke. As far as I know, the creation of this teleportation order requires the use of void crystals and at least 1/3 level talisman maker and 1/3 level weapon refiner to work together to make it. With my current skills in talisman making and weapon refining, making the teleportation order is not a problem. If you need it, I am willing to help you. For the weapon refining technique, Chen Qingyun can meet the requirements by himself. No. It's just making talismans. With Liu Zilin's help, it will be very easy to make the teleportation order. The specific refining method is not a secret and can be found in Lingbao Mountain. The inheritance left by the Tangai Patriarch has a specific refining method, and Chen Qingyun has read it several times. Thinking of this, Chen Qingyun asked, I haven't found the void crystal yet. Do you have it in Lingbao Mountain? Liu Zilin shook her head gently and said, void crystals are very precious and almost monopolized by Xingzong. Even if there are some in Lingbao Mountain, it is estimated that they will not be sold to the outside world. The probability of exchanging void crystals in Xingzong is very small, because there is no place in the entire Xinghai that can produce void crystals. In Xingzong, void crystals are used one by one. According to Liu Zilin's experience, all the void crystals that Xingzong and even Lingbao Mountain may have were obtained in Huanhai. In Xinghai's Zhuxian world, precious ores like this obtained from distant seas are too scarce and are the core materials for building teleportation arrays. No force is willing to sell them to others. They would rather keep them as a foundation for building teleportation arrays in the future. This is a kind of strategic resource. Qingyun, I think we don't need to go to Xingzong. Liu Zilin thought for a while and suggested, including Lingbao Mountain, we should not reveal the news that we want to exchange for void crystals. Chapter 714 Wanbao Conference, heading to the Fantasy Sea. Hearing Liu Zilin's proposal, Chen Qingyun guessed what the other party was thinking, blinked his eyes and smiled. You are worried that we have exposed the teleportation array? Liu Zilin nodded slightly. Yes. Looking for void crystals in the Starry Sea is too conspicuous. It is undoubtedly an announcement to the outside world that we may have a teleportation array. It is related to the Tangai Cave Mansion, so it is better to keep such a secret confidential. Liu Zilin thought very carefully and asked, have you told anyone about the purchase of void crystals? Chen Qingyun shook his head and said, this is also my concern. So far, I have only asked you about the news of void crystals, and I have not mentioned it to anyone else. Yes. As for how to obtain void crystals, the two discussed for a while and finally decided to set off to the Fantasy Sea to try their luck. For now, according to their experience, there is only a chance to obtain void crystals in the Fantasy Sea. In addition, there is really no other way. Chen Qingyun thought about it and decided that this matter could not be delayed. It was just right for him to go out and explore more and see a wider world, so he decided to leave as soon as possible. Liu Zilin was a little worried about Chen Qingyun going to the Fantasy Sea alone, so she decided to go with him. In the next half-month, Liu Zilin dealt with some trivial matters in the sect, guided the practice of Chen Qingyun's 3 disciples, and told them that she was going on a long journey. At the same time, in the sect's library, she collected some specific information about the Fantasy Sea and shared it with Chen Qingyun. As one of the 7 seas in the Inner Sea, the Fantasy Sea is located in the southeast of the Star Sea. It is adjacent to the Mermaid Sea in the north, the 10,000 Monsters Sea in the west, the Inner Sea Strait in the east, and the Boundary Sea in the south. Liu Zilin knew about this sea area in the past 10 years. She heard rumors that Lingbao Mountain was collecting refining materials in the Fantasy Sea, and then she had some understanding. Compared with the Star Sea, the Fantasy Sea is more vast, with many forces and families thriving. Because it is adjacent to the Mermaid Sea to the north, it often faces invasions from the northern mermaids, which is quite similar to the Star Sea's fight against the Monster Tide, and both fight to protect their homes. In terms of power structure, the current Fantasy Sea is mainly divided and ruled by the 3 sects of the Fantasy Moon Palace, the Qingguang sect, and the Ice Sea sect. The 3 sects of the Fantasy Sea have been in a 3-legged tripod and have been balancing each other for 10,000 years. The foundation of any one of them far exceeds the sum of the 5 sects of the Star Sea. It is worth mentioning. It is also under the long-term rule of the 3 sects of the Fantasy Sea that in order to promote the development of the Fantasy Sea and have the ability to resist the invasion from the Mermaid Sea, they will jointly hold a Wanbao Conference every 50 years. This Wanbao Conference is a famous trading event in the Fantasy Sea, which means the treasures of heaven and the people of the land. At each Wanbao Conference, the 3 sects will take out some rare spiritual objects, top magic weapons, and elixirs for trading. This attracted many Purple Mansion, Giant and Stage cultivators, and even Yuanying stage cultivators to participate, greatly promoting the economic development of the surrounding areas. This void crystal is a specialty produced in Hunyuan Palace. A portion of it will be sold at each Wanbao Conference as a regular resource. Most of the void crystals in Xingzan and Lingbao Mountain also come from this. In terms of time, this Wanbao Conference will be held in 6 years. With this opportunity in front of him, Chen Qingyun made a decisive decision and decided to participate in this Wanbao Conference to see if he could buy 1 or 2 void crystals. By the way, see if you can buy some thunder and fire items to facilitate the subsequent exploration of the 5 elements sect ruins. In terms of spiritual treasures, you should also purchase some for analysis and learning, and improve the art of refining. In the inheritance of the 5th level refining art, no inheritance can be exchanged, whether it is Xingzan or Lingbao Mountain. After Liu Zilin was ready, Chen Qingyun took her back to Zhenhai Island first. When she first came to this island, she learned that this was the secret territory of the Chen family and the permanent residence of Chen Qingyun. Liu Zilin felt the trust from Chen Qingyun and followed him to find Chen Qingyun and Chen Qingyun on the island. Because he had the nascent soul stage warrior Baong in his hand, Chen Qingyun decided to take Chen Qingyun with him on this trip, taking this opportunity to take her to broaden her horizons and experience a lot. Before, he didn't take Qingyun out to experience and set foot outside the Star Sea, because he was more or less worried that he was not strong enough to protect Qingyun. This opportunity is rare, and with some confidence, he naturally doesn't have to be indecisive anymore. Chen Qingyun acted cautiously. In order to be safe, he took out the puppet obtained from the ruins of the 5 Elements sect and invited Liu Zilin to help repair and enhance the equipment. 2 4th-level refiners took action and smelted a Purple Mansion puppet. After obtaining the 4th-level raw materials of fire, copper and platinum, they began to repair the puppet. In just 10 days, 21 puppets were repaired. Chen Qingyun gave 2 of the golden elixir puppets to Chen Qingyun and Liu Zilin as protective equipment for this trip. Chen Qingyun handed over the remaining 4 purple mansion puppets and 15 foundation building puppets to Chen Qingyun as the protective force to guard Zhenhai Island. On the family side, they left their forces to guard. Considering that it was dangerous to go deep into the sea of 10,000 monsters, Chen Qingyun himself suffered losses. So he taught the mysterious shape to Liu Zilin and Chen Qingyun to restrain their breath anytime and anywhere. Both women have natural spiritual roots, and it took them 5 or 6 days to master this technique. This efficiency made Chen Qingyun envious. Finally, the spirit stones were prepared, everything was in place, and after giving Chen Qingyun some instructions and informing them of the itinerary, the 3 set off on the same day. The wind and thunder boat flew through the air, flew out of the range of the Star Sea, and flew towards the southeast. With this 4th level top-grade flying boat to help travel, the 3 people's speed was very fast, and they could travel 100,000 miles a day. Considering that he had offended the demon ancestor Holland was wanted by the Kuish cave when he set foot in the 10,000 demon sea alone to find the fire sun wood. This time Chen Qingyun planned to avoid this sea area ruled by demon cultivators. According to the shortest straight line distance, it was originally possible to fly straight through the sea area ruled by the demon ancestor Holland reach the fantasy sea. Because it had to be avoided, it was equivalent to a detour of more than 1 million miles. Fortunately, this 10,000 treasures conference was held 6 years later, so there was still enough time. Chen Qingyun was well prepared, and he had a lot of spirit stones on him, which exceeded tens of millions, so he could buy some necessary resources. With spirit stones as energy supplements, everyone had a smooth journey. The wind and thunder boat flew day and night for nearly 4 months before it bypassed the demon ancestor palace and secretly shuttled through the Black Dragon Palace's sea area. As the leader-level force in the 10,000 demon sea, the Black Dragon Palace was high above, overlooking this sea area. The area of the sea it ruled was more than 10 times that of the demon ancestor palace, and it was the absolute overlord of the 10,000 demon sea. There were more demon cultivators under the Black Dragon Palace, who lived on the seabed all year round and hunted for themselves, and hunted immortal cultivators and demon cultivators at will. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 715, Fantasy Sea Island, Yuanyafang City. There are few spiritual islands in the vast sea ruled by the Black Dragon Palace. Almost at a glance, all you can see is the endless sea. The deepest ocean has reached more than 6,000 meters, and the shallowest is also 1,000 meters. Such a deep sea has bred many mysterious and powerful deep-sea beasts, and there are even Yuanying period monsters hiding in it. The 3 of them entered this unfamiliar sea for the first time, and they did not dare to fly close to the sea surface to avoid being ambushed by monsters in the sea. Above the high-altitude clouds, there are occasionally huge monster birds flapping their wings and soaring, projecting a huge shadow, which makes Chen Qingyun and the other 2 more cautious and alert. In fact, this is also their first time to set foot in the 10,000 monster sea, and they don't know enough about it. Usually before each Wanbao conference is held, it is also a huge attraction for the cultivators of the 10,000 monster sea, and both immortal cultivators and demon cultivators will go to participate. For example, the immortal cultivators of Penglai Immortal Realm often choose to go together with a few people, led by a giant cultivator, and take a spirit ship to the Fantasy Sea to ensure the safety of the journey. Most of the cultivators in Tongshan Demon Sea are independent and rarely travel together. Other independent cultivators will seek out chambers of commerce and forces to cooperate and travel together on spirit ships. Fortunately, with the help of the Wind and Thunder boat, they can use spirit stones as energy consumption. The combined strength of the 3 is not necessarily inferior to those cultivators in the fleet, and the travel speed is also faster. 2 years later, The three finally entered the fantasy sea. During this 2-year journey, Chen Qingyun and Liu Zilin became more familiar with each other. From time to time, they would laugh and chat to relieve the boredom on the road. Chen Qingyun already recognized this sister-in-law. Chen Qingyun disguised himself early and transformed into an ordinary-looking young man. His aura was also fully restrained under the cover of magic shape, maintaining the strength of the Purple Mansion stage. Liu Zilin and Chen Qingyun were the same. Their cultivation aura was restrained, except for the careful investigation of the Hunyuan cultivator. No outsiders could find out anything. In the Wanjiantu where demon cultivators, magic cultivators, and immortal cultivators compete with each other, maintaining a neutral identity and not revealing one's camp to the outside world is the best way to protect oneself. During the more than 2 years of journey, that is, when practicing in the Wanjiantu, I occasionally encountered several demon beasts and were easily killed. I also obtained several demon pills and some refining materials. When entering the fantasy sea from the Wanjiantu, the first change I felt was that the number of islands in the sea began to increase, and the figures of immortal cultivators could be seen frequently. In the fantasy sea, the demon cultivators and magic cultivators camps did not have an advantage. They could only be regarded as a considerable force, not enough to compete with the three sects of the fantasy sea. The three sects of the fantasy sea usually had internal conflicts and constant fighting, but in order to maintain the overall interests of the fantasy sea, they would unite to suppress the forces of demon cultivators and magic cultivators. Where there are immortal cultivators, there is naturally a Zhuxian market. After entering the fantasy sea for more than 1,000 miles, Chen Qingyun used his spiritual sense to secretly explore and found a large spiritual island in front of him. The spiritual energy on the island gathered and there were several formations. Finally, I saw the Cultivator Island. Chen Qingyun sent his spiritual sense down to the island and found that there were towns and villages of all sizes on the island, with a population of more than 100,000 people living there, which was very lively. After a careful exploration, there were 3 small market towns distributed in the southern part of the island, with similar scales, each with a formation, and a purple mansion cultivator sitting in charge. Facing Chen Qingyun's exploration with the nascent soul stage spiritual sense, the cultivators on the island were unaware, and every blade of grass and every tree was under Chen Qingyun's control. Even the effect of the market town formation to block the spiritual sense did not work at all in front of Chen Qingyun, as if it was nothing. After retracting his spiritual sense and deciding to rest first, Chen Qingyun took the 2 women to land on this spiritual island and chose a nearby market town to enter. At the entrance of the market, the local characters read Yuanyafang, since it was not written in Xinghai characters, but was somewhat similar. Chen Qingyun took a closer look before recognizing it. The Huanhai has its own writing system, and the accent is also different from our Xinghai, with obvious differences. For now, we may have to learn the accent of the writing here first, so that it will be easier to communicate and conceal our identities. Liu Zilin is knowledgeable and knows some Huanhai characters. She has a good talent for languages and can roughly understand the accent here. Chen Qingyun has little experience and it is her first time to walk out of Xinghai. She is full of curiosity about the surroundings, looking around from time to time, looking here and there. The conversations around her sounded no different from bird talk to her. She could only understand simple words like oh, and eh. Chen Qingyun agreed with Liu Zilin's suggestion and paid close attention to the conversations of the Huanhai monks around her. She found that many words were incomprehensible and the accents were very unique. Among these accents, there are also some foreign accents, indicating that there are other cultivators from outside the fantasy sea. In order to conceal their identities, the 3 people temporarily chose to communicate through voice transmission and wandered around in Yuanyafang. Compared with the market in the Star Sea, the architectural style of this Yuanyafang is not much different. The difference is that the stalls set up by cultivators can be seen everywhere, and there is no special stall area. The 3 people noticed that most of the items sold on the stalls are magic tools, and there are very few elixirs and monster materials. Chen Qingyun randomly found a stall and asked Liu Zilin to simply ask about the price of magic tools. The stall owner is a young woman wearing a simple blue robe. Her appearance seems a bit mediocre, and her cultivation is in the late stage of foundation building. Hearing Liu Zilin's accent, she noticed something different. She had long been accustomed to it and did not show any strangeness. She smiled naturally. "Deu, this thing is called Hanli Pearl, a second-grade low-grade ice attribute magic weapon. If you want it, I can sell it to you for 1,990 spirit stones." Since the second-grade low-grade ice attribute magic weapon is relatively rare, it is sold for at least 2,100 spirit stones in Xinghai. The price of other magic weapons of the same level will be dozens of spirit stones less. Hearing this price, Chen Qingyun and the other two are all weapon refiners. They carefully picked up the Hanli Pearl and looked at it. They found that the object was very new and there were not many signs of use. It was estimated that it was less than a year old. This Hanli Pearl, in Xinghai, would not be a problem to sell it for 2,200 spirit stones. They did not pay for it. Next, the three of them looked at the surrounding stalls and entered two stores for comparison. They found that the market price of the magic weapons here was lower than that in Xinghai. For example, a second-grade superb magic weapon is sold for 16,000 spirit stones in Xinghai. Here, the price is basically only in the range of 15,000 to 15,600, which can be reduced by a few hundred to thousands of spirit stones. The price of the magic weapon market is often determined by the development of the local magic weapon industry, and there will not be too much price fluctuation. Obviously, when he first arrived, Chen Qingyun found that the magic weapon industry in Huanhai was more developed than that in Xinghai, and there were magic weapons of excellent quality everywhere. Chapter 716, The Treasure Mirror on the Street. From the perspective of a fourth-level weapon refiner, there are many first-level and second-level magic weapons here that are very well made. As long as you are not too picky, you really can't find any faults. After shopping around for a while, Chen Qingyun came up with the idea of purchasing magic weapons. The advantage was that the price was more favorable and he could save money. Soon after, Chen Qingyun stopped in front of a stall and was attracted by one of the items. It was a dark green mirror, the surface of which had been wiped clean as new, reflecting a blue sky with floating white clouds. There are traces of the vicissitudes of time all around the mirror. Judging from the quality, it is obviously an old object, with a history of at least 1,000 years. Seeing this precious mirror artifact, Chen Qingyun's eyes flashed with surprise, and he took another look calmly. Liu Zilin has keen observation and has been paying attention to Chen Qingyun's movements. At this moment, he noticed Chen Qingyun's movements and his eyes fell on the precious mirror. However, she didn't see anything, so she secretly communicated with Chen Qingyun and asked tentatively, "What's the origin of that mirror?" Chen Qingyun was about to move in his heart, but there was no expression on his face. Hunyuan responded, "It's a good thing, take it first." After receiving Chen Qingyun's opinion, Liu Zilin nodded secretly, immediately showed interest and reached out to pick up the mirror. "Has the fairy taken your fancy? This mirror is an incredible treasure." The stall owner is a little old man. He looks simple and honest, but his eyes are shrewd, and his cultivation has reached the middle stage of foundation building. Seeing that Liu Zilin was interested in the treasure mirror, he quickly looked at Liu Zilin and the three of them. He was very sophisticated and saw that Chen Qingyun was the leader among the three, and he took the initiative to chat with Chen Qingyun without forgetting to smile. "Fellow Taoist, you are destined to meet here. It doesn't matter if you don't buy it. You might as well take a second look." Chen Qingyun didn't say anything. He just took a few steps closer and looked at the mirror. Liu Zilin held the treasure mirror in her hand and examined it for a moment, and found that she could not tell what grade the object was in, and the quality was also very old. But it is certain that this object contains spiritual charm and is definitely a magic weapon. Even she, a fourth-level weapon refiner, could not tell the origin of the magical weapon. This made her confused and wanted to cooperate with Chen Qingyun to get this object. Without seeing the reason, She handed the mirror to Chen Qingyun at the right time and asked with a look of admiration, "Does it look good?" This behavior is like when the daughter's family is visiting the market. They see the rouge, gouache or jewelry they like and ask their husband if it is good and if he wants to buy some. Hearing the difference in Liu Zilin's accent when she opened her mouth, the old man's expression suddenly froze and he secretly paid attention. Chen Qingyun took the treasured mirror and looked at it carefully. A feeling of familiarity came to his heart, which further confirmed his guess. Well, enough. Seeing Chen Qingyun just nodding, the old man who owned the stall showed a true expression, and became even more sure of his thoughts. As expected, this couple is probably an outsider. It's time to kill them hard. The old man who owned the stall felt happy and immediately burst into laughter. Taking a friendly eye, "I got this thing by chance. I am in a good mood today. Since your wife is so destined for this thing and it matches so well, I will sell it to you at a reasonable price because of my adult beauty." Seeing the look on the stall owner's old man's face, Chen Qingyun pretended to be a fledgling young man and followed the words and asked, "How many spiritual stones?" Seeing Chen Qingyun take the bait, the old man who owned the stall pretended to hold out 3 fingers and sighed heavily, "If it wasn't for the urgent need for spiritual stones, I wouldn't sell it at a low price. Let's do this." The price is only 3,000 spiritual stones. Chen Qingyun remained calm, secretly surprised, and couldn't help but glance at the old stall owner. 3,000 spirit stones. Chen Qingyun thought that the other party would make a big offer, saying something like 81,000, but he didn't expect that it would only be 3,000 spirit stones. Liu Zilin shook her head, meaning to lower the price. 3,000 spiritual stones. Although I like this mirror very much, the price is indeed a bit expensive. Chen Qingyun saw the two singing in harmony, and while being curious about the origin of the mirror, he simply played a role, curled his lips and said, "That's right, it's too expensive. Sister-in-law, why don't we leave? I know there is a shop selling mirror jewelry in front of me. The mirrors there are beautiful and cheap." As soon as he finished speaking, Chen Qingyun stepped forward and took Liu Zilin's arm, urging him. When I saw that Chen Qingyun's accent was not from the local area and he was trying to drive away customers, the old man who owned the stall had just arrived and didn't know what kind of shops there were in front of him. At this moment, he just wanted to trick the 3 outsiders, Chen Qingyun, and get as much as he could, and he quickly asked to stay. Wait a minute. How many spiritual stones did the fairy come up with?" Asking Liu Zilin here, the old man who owned the stall did not forget to wink at Chen Qingyun and said, "Fellow Taoist, your wife really likes this precious mirror. If you miss it, there will be no shop like this after passing this village. Now, you have to seize the opportunity." The meaning behind the words was undisguised, almost clearly saying that this was an excellent opportunity to please the madam, and one must seize it. Liu Zilin naturally saw the intention of the old stall owner and bargained directly. 500 spirit stones. 500. The old stall owner was stunned when he heard this and looked embarrassed. 500 spirit stones are too few, fairy. Why don't you add more? You get what you pay for. As an old man, I have to save more spiritual stones for my old age. It would be a big loss to sell the precious mirror with this spiritual stone. 500 spirit stones are quite a lot. Brother, you are so tight on food and clothing right now. I guess you don't even have 500 spirit stones with you, otherwise, let's forget it. Chen Qingyun continued to assist, shook his head repeatedly, and pulled Liu Zilin to leave. When Chen Qingyun saw Qingyun like this, he smiled in his heart. Looking at Liu Zilin, he actually followed the prompting and pretended to put down the mirror. Hey, good. Thinking that the fat in his mouth was about to fly away, the old man who owned the stall felt anxious and showed a bit of pain. 500 is 500. I sold you at a loss. I sold you. Liu Zilin bought a precious mirror with 500 spirit stones, followed Chen Qingyun and Chen Qingyun as they walked away, turned a corner and left the area. Someone actually bought it. The Old stall owner squinted his eyes and watched Chen Qingyun and the others disappear, and finally couldn't help but smile happily. It's just a broken mirror picked up from a deserted island. It's just a first-class mid-grade magic weapon at most. I don't even want to sell it for 100 spiritual stones. These 3 countrymen from out of town are actually willing to spend 500 spirit stones to buy it. They are really stupid and have too much money. I have to go. I have to go. If they find something is wrong, if they come back to me, I won't be willing to spit out the spirit stones again. They are not very experienced in the world, so they just think they have learned a lesson for themselves. No wonder I am. The old stall owner muttered with a smile, neatly packed up the stall, and soon disappeared into the vast sea of people, leaving Nufang City. Chapter 717 Picking up the Green Mirror, a low-grade spiritual treasure. Yuanyafang East District. Chen Qingyun took the treasure mirror from Liu Zilin and identified it again and again to determine the origin of this object. Brother, have you seen this mirror before? Chen Qingyun didn't see the reason, and asked with a puzzled look. Liu Zilin was also confused and still didn't see anything, but she believed that Chen Qingyun would do this, and there must be a reason. Chen Qingyun weighed the treasure mirror in his hand, and the scenes of the past emerged in his mind, and he felt that time was passing by. He smiled and responded, "You don't know, this thing is called Green Huang Mirror." That's right, the mirror in Chen Qingyun's hand at this time is the Green Huang Mirror left by Lin Kangong. At the beginning, he and Sun Tai and others each held a piece of Green Huang Mirror fragment, and finally the 6 lenses were combined into a complete Green Huang, which became the key to open the cave and guide the way forward. Until the treasure hunt was over, the green mirror was made by Lin Kangong himself, and it had a trace of his remaining divine thoughts. After more than 1,000 years, it had evolved into spiritual wisdom. This made the treasure fly out of the cave in the end, like a bird that had completed its mission and broke through the cage, and flew away on its own. Chen Qingyun only had this impression of this magic weapon, and he never paid much attention to it in the future. I never thought that after so many years, it would be almost forgotten. Today, I saw the green mirror again in Yuanyafang. Such a treasure with spirituality would become an item on the street stall for people to choose and buy. What happened during this period is curious. What is the origin of the stall owner and where did he get this green mirror? If you don't ask, you really have no way of knowing. Chen Qingyun is no longer interested in this doubt, and told the 2 women about the origin of the green mirror. After learning the origin of this object, Chen Qingyun was surprised that it could fly and move by itself and had some spiritual intelligence. Brother, only spiritual treasures and magic tools above can have spiritual intelligence. Could this mirror be a spiritual treasure? After this, Liu Zilin also nodded slowly, with the same guess. If this mirror can really reach the level of spiritual treasure, then this time it is really a great fortune. It is not the time to talk about the details in public. Chen Qingyun put the green mirror into the storage ring and decided to take a closer look later. Because Liu Zilin's language talent can quickly master some of the local languages, Chen Qingyun simply bought magic tools here next. The shops on the street, big and small, also sell broken magic tools, which are about 10% cheaper than the market price in Xinghai. With such a good price, they naturally have to grab it. According to Chen Qingyun's meaning, every time the 3 enter a store, they will first purchase a 3rd-level magic tool, and at least a 2nd-level top-grade one. 4th-level magic tools are rare here, and Chen Qingyun will not spend tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of spirit stones to buy them, and then decompose them into strengthening points. It is not cost-effective to do so. As for broken magic tools, they try to start from the 1st level best, and there is no upper limit. They will take as many as they can. In this remote fantasy sea, few people know them. And the monks here have long been accustomed to their actions of buying magic tools in large quantities and breaking magic tools. The magic tool market is affordable and there is always a constant flow of goods, attracting many vendors and monks outside the fantasy sea to come here to purchase in large quantities. In terms of language, these shopkeepers usually see all kinds of customers, and each of them is very smart. As soon as Chen Qingyun and the other 2 opened their mouths, Even if they tried their best to imitate the accent here, they still exposed their origins. They were not fantasy sea monks. Fortunately, Yuan Yifang is under the jurisdiction of Hunyuan Palace and has a strict supervision system. Rules must be followed. These shops are registered and dare not arbitrarily raise prices and deceive customers. They dare not sell fake goods. If Chen Qingyun and the other two purchase goods through the Chamber of Commerce or the Power Platform, they can negotiate the price, save spirit stones and gain more benefits by purchasing in large quantities and relying on the stable trading advantages of a power. Fortunately, they brought enough spirit stones this time, and the treasures they needed to purchase were the void crystals. The price of this ore was not too outrageous, ranging from 30,000 to 100,000. If they also saw other treasures at the Wanbao conference, they would have enough funds to participate in the auction. The three of them wandered around the entire Yuan Yifang for almost a day. The harvest on the first day reached more than 1,000 broken magic tools, and more than 20 intact magic tools. This expenditure cost nearly 100,000 spirit stones. Fortunately, they were purchased in batches from 50 or 60 stores, otherwise they would really attract attention and be regarded as fat sheep. That night, the three of them stayed in a chamber of commerce in Yuan Yifang and decided to stay here for a few days. While continuing to buy broken magic tools, they also inquired about the situation of the Wanbao conference and found out where this session was held. In the room, Chen Qingyun took out the green mirror and looked at it carefully. After groping for a while, he found that this magic tool was very strange and the grade could no longer be seen. The spiritual charm contained in it was also very thin, as if it had experienced some kind of battle and almost exhausted its energy. The current state of the green mirror is between a complete magic tool and a broken magic tool. This state is somewhat strange. After the sacrifice, Chen Qingyun paid attention to the display on the system's face. Green mirror, 5th grade lower grade. Broken. The green mirror was refined by Lin Kangong 1,000 years ago with a strand of his own blood essence. It inherited his obsession and was a magical instrument with intelligence that could move autonomously. Spiritual treasure? With the eyes of Chen Qingyun and Liu Zilin, 4th level refiners, they could not see the grade of this mirror, let alone feel its power. It could not even be controlled and used, and it almost became a piece of broken copper and iron. If Chen Qingyun had not known it himself and had seen the strangeness of this thing, he would not buy it for 500 spiritual stones, let alone 50 spiritual stones. It's strange. This mirror was refined by Senior Lin himself. With his 4th level refinement skills, how could he refine a 5th level spiritual treasure? Looking at the green mirror in his hand, Chen Qingyun's eyes condensed slightly. He tried to control it and found that the magic weapon could only fly in the air and could not attack. If it could not be sacrificed, contain spiritual charm, and the array patterns were all there, he would really think it was a piece of waste. Chen Qingyun looked at it carefully for a long time and finally came to a conclusion. Because this green mirror is in a damaged state, it cannot stimulate the power it should have. Its power is not as strong as that of a 1st level medium-grade magic weapon. It can only be used to look in the mirror. Even the spiritual intelligence in it is in a state of sleep similar to a serious injury and coma, and it is still in a state of self-repair, and it needs time to be nurtured. This is very much like the charm of a living being. Who knows, after the green mirror is repaired, it can obtain a weapon spirit. Now I am so lucky that I can directly sacrifice and recognize the master when the other party is at the weakest. This is a big bargain. Chapter 718. Inquiring for information, the origin of Huan Hai. While strolling in Yuan Yifang this time, I was able to encounter this green mirror, which was really unexpected. Fortunately, I only spent 500 spirit stones to buy it. This has the foundation of a spiritual treasure. Even if it is sold at a damaged price, it must be sold for at least 10,000 spirit stones. The stall owner treated us as fat sheep, thinking that this was a damaged magic weapon with little value. But he didn't expect that I happened to know this green mirror by accident, so I was lucky enough to pick up such a leak. Chen Qingyun smiled and looked at the green mirror floating in his hand, saying with some emotion, "After completing the inheritance of Senior Lin, You flew away on your own. I didn't expect to meet me again in this way today. Now, it's in my hands. It can be regarded as God's will. From now on, just follow me well." After speaking, the mirror of the green mirror flashed with light, as if giving the response and agreeing. Chen Qingyun wiped the magic treasure clean and spotless. Since the green mirror is currently in a damaged state, it can be repaired to a complete state like the purple spiritual robe. However, the reinforcement points are insufficient now and it cannot be repaired for the time being. It is better to collect more magic tools first. The next day, Chen Qingyun returned to the stall area where the green mirror was purchased again out of concern, wanting to see if the old monk was still there. If possible, ask how the green mirror was obtained. However, when he arrived, there was no trace of the old monk, who had already run away. The stall owner thought that the 500 spirit stones were a rip-off for me, so he ran away by himself? He really came to give me a treasure. Chen Qingyun was a little amused. There are too many passers-by in life, and those encounters are just chance encounters. And the passer-by he met this time can be said to be a treasure boy. The other party felt that they made a lot of money with 500 spirit stones, and they felt that they spent a lot of money, so it was a win-win situation. In the next few days, Chen Qingyun and the other two disguised themselves as casual cultivators and moved around in Yuanyafang. While purchasing damaged magic tools efficiently, they also inquired about the situation of this Wanbao conference. In the conversations for several consecutive days, the three people initially mastered some local languages required for transactions, and their accents were no longer so obvious, and they could be considered to be integrated here. Soon, the three people mastered the information they wanted, and did not forget to purchase a current map of the Fantasy Sea to deeply understand the history of this sea area. First of all, it was the Wanbao conference. Before, the three people only had a general understanding, and it was confirmed that it would be held every 50 years, so they came here from afar. In the past few days in Yuanyafang, the three people heard many times that this Wanbao conference would be held as scheduled in Qiangxing Island in the center of the Fantasy Sea in 3.5 years. At that time, a large number of cultivators would go to participate, opening the Fantasy Sea's trading event every 50 years. In order to maintain the safety, stability and fairness of this trading event, the three sects of Huanhai will not only arrange personnel to maintain order in advance, but also send Yuanying monks to guard the conference site to deter those with ulterior motives. Anyone who dares to make small moves and fight at the Wanbao conference to damage the reputation of the Wanbao conference will be an enemy of the three sects. The three sects will never tolerate those who make trouble, even if it is a Yuanying monk who makes trouble. They will be severely punished. This Wanbao conference, the three major sects have been jointly operating for thousands of years. How can they let outsiders destroy the reputation they have accumulated with great difficulty? This is a golden signboard, and the interests of the three sects need to be maintained together. Then, the origin of the title of Huanhai comes. The word Huan in the name is not a random name. The origin of the word Huanhai, tracing back to history, is from the ancient destruction. Before that, this was just an unnamed sea area in the inland sea, occupied by various monsters, and belonged to the wild sea. In that great destruction of heaven and earth, many ancient masters of great powers had fought a shocking duel in the Sea of Illusion, using all kinds of supreme great powers to destroy the heavens and the earth, and turned the rivers and seas upside down. This war shattered the entire nameless sea into pieces, and the spirit collapsed, turning it into a place of no spirit. Even if this battle ended with a bang, the remaining power of the supreme great powers remained for a long time, and various ancient treasures still showed their power, affecting the sea area. Among them, the most amazing supreme great power called the Wonderful Illusion was the most amazing, which enveloped most of the illusion sea in one fell swoop, breaking it into thousands of large and small, randomly distributed illusion worlds. Once a cultivator entered these illusion worlds, at best he would get lost in them, and it would take a lot of effort to return to heaven and earth, or he would perish in them and die. The existence of these illusion worlds, coupled with the fact that it became a place of no spirit, led to the fact that the entire sea area was almost extinct for thousands of years. There is not a trace of spiritual energy here, and it has become a paradise for sea beasts and wild animals. Over time, this sea area was called the Extreme Fantasy Sea by outside cultivators, or simply the Fantasy Sea. Until more than 6,000 years ago, under the nurturing of heaven and earth, some earth veins and spiritual veins began to be born. Many fantasy worlds collapsed and shattered, which gradually made this world full of vitality and began to attract cultivators to set foot and take root here. Later, it further developed into large and small forces, immortal cultivation families, powerful independent cultivators and monsters from all sides. The three major sects, Huanyuan Palace, Qingsu sect, and Binghai sect, thus annexed the four seas, developed and expanded, and became the three top sects. Any of these three sects is stronger than Xingzong, and its strength can rival the entire Xinghai. Finally, there are some customs here. Because the two sides have been neighbors for thousands of years, fighting and snatching territory often break out, so there have been constant disputes. In the Huanhai, any mermaid will be regarded as an enemy, either driven away or killed on the spot, never container. The three people have a clear understanding of the Huanhai, and realize that they should be as low-key as possible when acting here. Whether it is offending any of the three sects in Huanhai or the mermaid clan, it will cause great trouble, but there is no such strong strength to fight. In front of these two, Xingzong, Lingbao Mountain, and the Chen family, combined, are not enough to fill the gaps between the other parties' teeth. After understanding this, Chen Qingyun spoke. The Wanbao Conference is held on Qingguang Island. This island is almost in the center of the Fantasy Sea and is the most prosperous and developed place in the Fantasy Sea. There are still 3.5 years left, according to the map route. It is still a long way from here to Qingguang Island, almost across half of the Fantasy Sea. We just saw that there are still many fantasy worlds in the Fantasy Sea. These worlds are extremely dangerous and unpredictable. They are then distributed all over the sea. Once you are trapped in one of them, it will be difficult to get out. 2. Be safe and save time. Let's find a local chamber of commerce and choose to take a treasure ship. Chapter 719, Spiritual Wood on the Boat, Hidden Storm. In the next month, we will go around here again, buy some magic tools and resources, and learn the language and writing here as soon as possible to conceal our identities. There was still plenty of time, so Chen Qingyun decided to follow the local customs and choose to take the treasure ship to Qingguang Island. As for the language barrier, this is a small problem. The monks have amazing memory. With the qualifications of the three of them, they can master the language and writing here in 2 months at most. Okay, then I'll listen to you. Liu Zila nodded and said, "We are new here and don't know the terrain of the sea here." With the local monks leading the way, taking the treasure ship to Qingguang Island is a good choice. Take a boat. Good, good. Chen Qingyun also nodded and said, "If we continue to drive the wind and thunder boat forward and fly into a fantasy world on the way, it will not only delay the journey, but also easily face life and death crisis." Chen Qingyun is naturally willing to accept Chen Qingyun's proposal. Even if there are no such factors, I will listen to my brother. In the following days, the three of them left Yuanyafang and visited the other two markets on the island, Furaofang and Honglifang, and bought some broken magic tools again. During this period, they began to learn the language and characters here. Time passed in a blink of an eye, and more than a month had passed. At the beginning of the second month, the three of them stayed in Honglifang temporarily. On this day, they found a merchant here called Feng Chamber of Commerce and bought 3 boat tickets at the price of 300 spirit stones per person. They boarded the ship to Qingguang Island the next day. As the Wanbao Conference was about to be held, it would take about 2 years to sail from the surrounding area to Qingguang Island. In order not to miss this opportunity, many cultivators chose to set off early. The treasure ship that the three of them were on was almost full of cultivators, with a total of 366 people. Chen Qingyun noticed that except for the three of them, most of them were foundation building cultivators, with 6 purple mansion cultivators and 1 late giant cultivator. The proportion of chi refining cultivators was very small, less than 10 people. Half of these monks are not from the local area, but from other sea areas. As far as Chen Qingyun noticed, he could recognize that several tall and majestic monks were from the Thunder Spirit Sea. These monks from the Thunder Spirit Sea looked majestic even if they were standing there quietly. Judging from the uniform clothing, they were obviously from a certain force in the Thunder Spirit Sea. From the accents of the other dozen people, there were also monks from the Misty Blood Sea and the Mermaid Sea. Chen Qingyun disguised himself as a local family monk, calling himself Hunyuan, and chatted with several Purple Mansion monks on the ship to find out some information. Because of the study, Chen Qingyun's accent was no different from that of the local monks, and the other party did not notice anything at all, and would not think too much. In this way, after a conversation, Chen Qingyun further found out some news about the Swanbao conference and learned that this event was eye-catching in the entire inner sea. This trip can be said to greatly increase your knowledge, meet all kinds of cultivators, and even encounter attacks from mermaids in the sea, which is also a local feature. Regarding the mermaids in the sea, a local Purple Mansion casual cultivator had a good chat with Chen Qingyun and took the initiative to tell him. This person is called Zhang Zhen. He looks to be in his 50s, but his actual age is already 399 years old, with a gentle face. I have been in this fantasy sea for more than 100 years, and have participated in several battles against mermaids. In order to compete for territory, those mermaids often invade the fantasy sea and stir up a bloody storm. The number of cultivators who died in their hands is countless. Deu, I'm telling you secretly, I have heard that the treasure ship we are riding this time is carrying a batch of fire attribute spirit wood, fire peony wood, which is estimated to attract attacks from mermaids. When mentioning fire peony wood, Zhang Zhen was excited, but a trace of worry flashed across his face. Fire, peony wood. Chen Qingyun recalled his memory and had heard of this kind of wood. Fire peony wood grows in places where fire spirits gather, such as active volcanoes, lava swamps, and vast desert areas. It is a third-level spiritual wood and takes 300 years to grow. Because it contains pure fire power, it is one of the best materials for refining fire attribute magic weapons and can restrain water attribute magic weapons. No matter how good this fire peony wood is, it is a treasure for the human race. Does the mermaid race also need fire peony wood to refine weapons? While thinking about it, Zhang Zhen's voice sounded again, and continued to speak in a low voice. Yes, fellow Taoist Chen, you know about this fire peony wood, right? It can be used to refine powerful fire-attributed magic tools, which can have a significant effect in restraining mermaids. I heard this news from a friend of Qingguang sect a few days ago. This batch of wood will eventually be transported to Donglin Island, where Qingguang sect's weapon refiners will refine it and make it into magic tools to deal with mermaids. Speaking of Qingguang sect, Zhang Zhen glanced at the distance and saw that there were Qingguang sect cultivators there, so he took this opportunity to introduce them to Chen Qingyun. Although the three people over there are not wearing Qingguang sect costumes, I estimate that they are most likely Qingguang sect cultivators. Look carefully, the oldest one among them, the old man with a square face, I can't see through him, he should be a giant and cultivator. Chen Qingyun and the other two followed Zhang Zhen's gaze and saw three figures standing on the bow deck, and two cultivators from Feng Chamber of Commerce were nodding and talking. Due to the sound isolation restriction imposed by the other party, even the Zaifu monks could not eavesdrop. Chen Qingyun had already used Baoang's spiritual consciousness to detect these monks when he boarded the ship. The monk with the Chinese character face that Zhang Zhen mentioned was from the Qingguang sect, and he was the late-stage giant. The remaining two are both at the peak of Zaifu and are not considered weak. One is in the late stage of Jinden, and two are at the peak of Zaifu. This power is not small. The fire peony tree was not detected by the divine consciousness. It must have used some means of shielding the divine consciousness in order to avoid the detection of unscrupulous people. This is quite unusual. Zhang Zhen did not notice Chen Qingyun's movements, let alone expect that there were two golden elixir monks, Chen Qingyun and Liu Zilin, on the ship. He continued minding his own business. On this part of our voyage, we are actually meant to protect this treasure ship. If we encounter a shark attack, we should provide appropriate assistance. If you think you are not strong enough, then stay on the ship and don't leave at will. Those sharks are active in the sea, and their strength can give them a considerable advantage. We must not enter the water easily. When the time comes, the three of you must protect yourself. Don't risk your lives by stepping out casually." Zhang Zhen slowly said these words, kindly reminding Chen Qingyun and the others. Chapter 720 Mermaid. As a casual cultivator, Zhang Zhen was able to rely on his own efforts to collect resources and cultivate to the Xifu stage. This achievement is very remarkable. Now I know that my path is limited, and my hope of forming a pill is slim. He decided to participate in this Wanbao conference to obtain some resources, and then try to attack the middle stage of Xifu. If this attempt fails, I will first occupy a spiritual island where monsters are inhabited, and then recruit wives and concubines to establish a family of cultivators to pass on to future generations. Now, with the idea of making more friends and expanding his network, he takes the initiative to win over Chen Qingyun and the other three, so that they can have more friends and more paths. "Thanks for the reminder," Chen Qingyun simply said politely. Chen Qingyun had already heard about the sharks. The Shark Sea is one of the 7 sea areas in the Inland Sea. It is located in the northeastern region. In terms of area, it is equivalent to 3-star seas. With such a name, it is obvious that it is related to the sharks. The sharks are a famous ethnic group in the Inner Sea. Their appearance resembles a humanoid, with 4 limbs, a torso and a head. An adult mermaid is close to 2 meters tall and weighs about 200 kilograms. He has some wisdom and can use magic weapons, talismans, etc. Especially those high-level mermaids who are already smart enough to be able to refine elixirs, refine weapons, make talismans, set up formations and other various arts of cultivating immortals. In addition, they are the darlings of the sea. They can be intimate with the power of water and can move freely in the sea without being affected by the pressure of the deep sea. This makes it even more powerful to survive and reproduce in the sea. Before the great destruction of the ancient times, 40% of this inland sea belonged to the survival territory of the Shark clan. Because of the Great Destruction War, the Shark clan lost their homeland, and their number was cut by about 80%. In order to continue the clan and resist the hunting of monsters and human monks, the Mermaid clan began to migrate throughout the inland sea, running around in order to survive. It wasn't until the inspiration revived in the Inner Sea and the Shark clan saw hope that they began to return to their former homeland and gradually strengthened the clan. This process of relocation involves territorial issues, which naturally leads to a long-term battle with demon cultivators, and immortal cultivators. If we trace back the history here, there is a lot that can be described in detail. In short, the current Shark Sea is the territory regained by the Shark clan. In the process of regaining the territory, the Shark clan had long-term dealings with human monks, and the Shark clan learned some of the human clan's scheming, which gradually affected the temperament change of some sharks and turned into evil sharks. Because these evil sharks were inconsistent with the ideals of the group and advocated killing and robbing, they eventually split from the shark race and became a selfish side race. Most of the current sharks still maintain a silly and sweet temperament. Only those leaders can compete with the human monks with their wisdom. Otherwise, this group would have ceased to exist, and there would be no such sea of sharks. Nowadays, battles often break out between the Fantasy Sea and the Shark clan. This is in itself an early move by the Shark clan to regain their territory. As the fight between the two sides continued for longer, the conflict continued to deepen, and it had evolved to the point where it was difficult to adjust. This is how the two seas have maintained a long-term struggle. Chen Qingyun does not comment on who is right or wrong among the Shark clan and Huanhai monks. In the world of immortality, natural selection is the rule, and the weak will eat the strong. This is an iron law. It is obviously impossible to let the Huanhai monks return their territory. If we trace it back to more distant history, the Shark clan may not necessarily be the masters of this place. This battle with the sharks has never stopped. We have long been accustomed to it. I just hope that our group will not leak the news and let the sharks hear the news. Zhang Zhen said, "We are really going to start a fight, but it will delay our trip." Liu Zilin and Chen Qingyun looked at each other, with their eyes on Chen Qingyun, secretly transmitting whether they wanted to continue riding this treasure ship. The treasure ship the three of them were on this time actually contained a batch of important materials such as fire peony. If they wanted to fly away by themselves, no one would stop them. It's okay, just wait and see what happens. Chen Qingyun responded that if they were really attacked by the sharks, it would be fine as long as they were not used as cannon fodder. As long as you can do your best, there's nothing wrong with taking a little action. The treasure ship sailed on the sea for more than 3 months. It was quiet along the way. Occasionally, it was attacked by a few monsters. In front of many monks, they took the initiative to send resources. As Zhang Zhen said, the biggest obstacle in this industry may be encountering attacks from sharks. You are really afraid of what will come. Late that night, the night on the sea was extremely deep, like a bloody mouth, swallowing up the entire world. To the naked eye, the water and the night were pitch black, and you couldn't even see your fingers. The lighting beam turned on in front of the treasure ship can only reflect a distance of up to 100 meters, reflecting some waves and the black shadows of monsters that occasionally pass by in the sea. Further away, the beam of light shines into it and is swallowed up by darkness. Without the reflection of light, the whole world would be like being in a black hole, and even the handrails and deck of the ship would not be visible. Compared with the endless blue sea and blue sky and white clouds during the day, this late night sea is like a different time and space. The moon hanging high in a black screen amidst snow-white light, which is reflected on the dark sea with a strange charm. Everyone has long been accustomed to this night view of the sea. When the treasure ship sailed through a sea area with turbulent waves, black shadows suddenly appeared on the distant sea surface under the illumination beam. At the same time, the originally calm sea surface was swept by surging waves, rushing towards the treasure ship. The monk in charge of steering looked far away, and with his rich sailing experience, he found something wrong at the first time. He saw the origin of those black shadows and immediately issued a notice. The mermaids are attacking, everyone, don't get off the ship, please stay on the ship. As soon as the voice fell beside him, 2 monks from the King's sect each took out a formation plate, communicated with the formation nodes that had been built on the ship, and jointly activated the formation. 6 silver-white lights rose from the treasure ship, condensed into a point, and spread out, turning into a circular formation shield, wrapping the entire treasure ship. As this formation was activated, the seawater around the ship was pushed by the power of the formation, automatically spreading to the surrounding periphery, blocking all the waves outside. On the barrier of the formation, there were striking silver-white lights flowing, quite dreamy, as if brewing into thunder, piercing the darkness and illuminating the world. It's the Tenhai Zhuangguang formation of the King's sect. There were sharp-eyed cultivators on the ship who recognized the origin of this formation. More cultivators used the light to look at the black shadows on the sea in the distance and saw those mermaids. Chapter 721 Tenhai Rotating Light Array. The mermaids, ruling the mermaid sea, have been multiplying for 10,000 years. Both males and females are naturally handsome and do not scheme. Only high-level mermaids have intelligence. Chen Qingyun stood on the bow deck and looked carefully with a chi-gazing technique. He saw that more than 300 mermaids had gathered about 100 meters in front of the treasure ship. These mermaids took advantage of the cover of darkness and swam towards them in a fan-shaped formation. Their speed far exceeded that of ordinary sea monsters. They moved dozens of meters in the blink of an eye. These mermaids are males. Each of them is strong, tall and mighty, and their image is human. The exposed skin has scales, which can easily be distinguished from humans. They hold tridents in their hands, and their weapons are of the same style. The leading mermaid is covered in silver armor, holding a trident of nearly 3 meters in his hand, and is located in the center of the group. Under its command, many mermaids did not just charge and kill blindly, they waved their tridents one by one, aimed at the treasure ship and threw them fiercely. More than 300 tridents flew out of their hands, and the tips reflected the sharp and cold light, making a hissing sound of breaking through the air. These tridents actually split one by one, 1 into 2, 2 into 3, and so on. In just a blink of an eye, each trident turned into 10, forming a hail of bullets falling from the sky, and the shooting range firmly covered the entire treasure ship. Originally, It was a peaceful sailing journey, but it was suddenly attacked by mermaids. Fortunately, Chen Qingyun and the other three, Zhang Zhen and other informed cultivators were well prepared. Other uninformed cultivators, especially those in the foundation building stage, were now in this atmosphere of deep-sea darkness, with panicking their expressions and became restless. Under the protection of the Tanhai rotating light formation, the rain of tridents stabbed the formation barrier with a bang, causing the barrier to tremble violently, but was blocked. As a fourth-level superior formation, with a superior spirit stone as its energy core, the Tanhai rotating light formation has strong defense and endurance, which is enough to block the attacks of multiple giant creatures at the same time. The first attack of the mermaid group was ineffective. Many tridents split and shattered, and the real weapons flew back and fell into the hands of the mermaids again. The leading mermaid has wisdom no less than that of humans. Seeing this, a cunning look appeared on his face, and he changed his attack strategy and uttered a strange and sharp cry. The other mermaids around heard this cry, and they plunged into the water one by one, and joined forces to control the power of water. In an instant, huge waves in the sea were surging, and a violent storm was set off. 3 huge water tornadoes suddenly gathered and formed, each reaching a size of 100 feet, reaching the sky and sweeping a lot of sea water. These 3 violent tornadoes, with the terrifying power of turning rivers and seas upside down, swept towards the treasure ship. The King's sect monks on the ship were experienced and knew the methods of the mermaids very well. Seeing the water tornadoes sweeping in, one of the King's sect monks snorted coldly and sacrificed a water blue bead. Dinghezu appeared, with itself as the center, and under the continuous injection of giant and period mana, it emitted a burst of water blue light and spread out. These lights formed a wrapping space of a kilometer in radius, covering the treasure ship and even the surrounding area of several hundred meters. The 3 water tornadoes split the water and broke the waves, enough to tear ordinary ships apart, and large monsters could be torn into pieces, and the power was no less than the magic performed by giant and monks. But in front of Dinghezu, this attack still had no effect. It could only be regarded as a tickle. These waves not only blocked the light curtain barrier, but the water power contained in them was also restrained and rapidly weakened. In just a few breaths, the 3 water tornadoes gradually became smaller, from 100 feet to dozens of feet, and finally became a few feet and dissipated. Tanhai, swirl, kill. Having just resolved the attack of the water tornado, the leading King's sect giant and cultivator continued to protect everyone with Dinghezu, and at the same time, issued a killing order. Hearing this, the 2 King's sect disciples beside him immediately communicated with the array in their hands and launched an array offensive. Huff and puff. I saw that the light on the Tanhai swirl array was bright, and a large piece of silver-white light was quickly condensed, as dazzling as the scorching sun, illuminating the night sky like daylight. The next moment, these lights turned into beams of light, shooting straight at the group of mermaids, and the sky and the earth suddenly became bright with silver light. Chen Qingyun watched quietly, and realized the strangeness of this formation. Not only can it be deployed on the ship, but it also has good defense. It should not be underestimated. How powerful is this formation now? Can it destroy those mermaids? When this thought came to his mind, the result was already obvious. Hundreds of silver-white swirls of light launched a large-scale attack, which was far more powerful than the previous trident attack, sweeping the mermaids. Many mermaids were unable to dodge and were pierced by the silver-white beams, exploding with a loud bang. Some mermaids hid in the sea, but still could not avoid this wave of attacks. The sea water soon turned blood red. The cultivators of King's sect killed decisively, with no intention of showing mercy. They used all their strength to activate the formation and launched several attacks in succession. More silver-white beams fell, further damaging the group of mermaids, rendering the seawater even more blood-red, and mermaid corpses floated to the surface of the sea. The merman who was in the lead saw that the situation was not good. After testing the strength of these cultivators, he immediately chose not to attack. It ordered the remaining mermaids to retreat far away, and one by one they dived into the sea to escape. In this night attack, there were more than 300 mermaids, but only more than 10 managed to escape. This battle came very suddenly, did not last too long, and ended quickly, so that everyone did not need to help, and just watched. After eliminating the threat, the monks of King's sect did not rush to remove the formation, and drove the treasure ship to continue moving forward. When passing through the sea where the mermaid corpses floated, they skillfully salvaged the trident weapons that sank to the bottom of the sea. A total of more than 100 tridents were salvaged, and the rest were taken away by the remnants of the mermaids. Chen Qingyun glanced at the tridents and found that they were very similar to the trident held by the sea god. In terms of race, the evil mermaids split from the mermaid clan, and the weapons they used also had similarities. The difference is that the King's sect cultivators are willing to spend time salvaging these magic weapons, which means there must be something special about them. Earlier, the mermaid attacked with the trident, and Chen Qingyun saw it, but he didn't think it was anything special. Many other magic weapons also have this effect. I'm sorry to scare you all, I'm Zhuxiantu, the outer sect elder of the King's sect. I'm honored to meet you, fellow Taoists, and welcome to my treasure ship. The leading King's sect giant and cultivator spoke at this time, introducing himself with a smile, easing the atmosphere. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 722 Trident, Thousand Star Island. Zhuxiantu's opening suddenly became the focus of the audience, and everyone's eyes fell on him. Zhuxiantu had a faint smile on his face, glanced at everyone, and continued with a slightly apologetic tone. It has only been a few months since we went to sea on this trip, and we still encountered a shark attack. We are not sure whether the rest of the journey is safe. But, if there is another foreign enemy attack, if necessary, I hope that you will spare no effort to help me. I, the King's sect, will be very grateful. As soon as Zhuxiantu finished speaking, everyone was thoughtful. The moment the Tanhai rotating light array was activated, many local monks had sharp eyes and guessed that this treasure ship was related to the King's sect. Generally speaking, King's sect ships do not sell tickets to outsiders, and monks from all parties are allowed to ride. Now that something is out of the ordinary, why are they still being attacked by sharks? This has caused many people to speculate as to the reason. On this ship, there may be some monks who have offended the shark clan, or some valuable resources. Everyone, to be honest, this ship has transported a batch of fire peony trees. You must all know the value of this stuff, which is why the sharks attacked us. Zhuxiantu had no intention of selling out, and took the initiative to inform everyone of the reason for the attack, and decided to be honest with everyone. This fire peony tree can be used to refine magical weapons that can restrain the sharks. It seems that the news of this transportation was leaked, and it is expected that the sharks will be attracted now. However, please rest assured, this is our fantasy sea realm after all. No matter how rampant the sharks are, they will only send some soldiers and crabs to disrupt our schedule, and they will not cause too much trouble. As soon as these words came out, a smooth monk showed a look of surprise and nodded in response. I see, the senior is an elder of the King's sect. If I can go with you, my safety will be guaranteed. This is a sailing trip, and who can guarantee that it will be smooth sailing along the way? It is normal to encounter some setbacks and challenges. These words were recognized by everyone. After all, the previous battle did not motivate them to take action. They were all treated as spectators. As long as you are not ordered to assist and act as a tool, it is not a big deal. Seeing this, Chen Qingyun remembered Zhang Zhen's previous report that there really was fire peony on this ship. Zhang Zhen knew this and seemed to have a few brushes. When he purchased the ferry ticket from the Feng Chamber of Commerce, the other party did not take the initiative to disclose this. It was obvious that he wanted to keep it secret. Now, the sharks are all here, and everyone is in the same boat, so there is nothing to hide, and we can all advance and retreat together. These King's sects are also shrewd. They didn't mention anything about Huo Xiaomu before setting off, Now they are on the ship and are only willing to tell the truth when they are attacked by sharks. Hey, why do I feel like I not only spent 300 spirit stones this time, but also acted as their thug? There were also monks who complained in a low voice, not afraid that Zhang Xiling would hear the words, which immediately aroused the resonance of more than a dozen people and nodded secretly. Zhang Xiling was an old and shrewd man, and he had already expected that there would be people on the ship who were dissatisfied. After hearing these complaints, he did not show any displeasure, but instead smiled lightly. Everyone, neither I, Zhang, nor I, the king's sect, will let everyone suffer and work in vain. Let me give one of the shark weapons we salvaged earlier to everyone present. This thing is a bit strange, so I hope you won't dislike it. As Zhang Xiling issued the order, the two king's sect monks beside him began to distribute tridents, which was really a handful for everyone. Chen Qingyun and the three of them each got one. Zhang Zhen got the trident and said to Chen Qingyun, "Haha, King's sect is very generous now. Fellow Taoist Chen, this thing is a good thing. Not only can it be used alone to divide water and break waves, but if used with multiple handles, it can also have a large-scale killing effect on enemies. It's a pity that I only have one in my hand. It can be kept as a legacy." When Chen Qingyun heard this, he couldn't help but take a closer look at the trident in his hand, and became somewhat interested. If it is true as Zhang Zhen said, this trident can also be used in team combat and exert a more powerful effect when combined with it, then it is indeed a good treasure. Looking closely, Chen Qingyun tried to figure out the refining method of the trident and what materials it was made of. This scene happened to catch Zhang Zhen's eye. Fellow Taoist Chen, the refining of this object is a secret that has not been passed down by the shark people. It has not been cracked by us so far. This is why they dare to use this object in battle so boldly and will not take it away even if they are defeated in the end. In the past few hundred years, countless monks have imitated this thing. The power they can imitate is only 40 to 50% at most. As long as those sharks are not completely surrendered, it will be as difficult as climbing to the sky to obtain the method of refining this object. Zhang Zhen said with emotion. Copycat. Chen Qingyun thought to himself and put away the trident calmly. Now that I have the analytical talent at hand, as long as I want to refine it, there is no need to imitate it. Just analyze it directly to obtain the raw materials and refining method. It is no exaggeration to say that the refining method finally analyzed will even be better than that of the Shaman tribe. With this action of sharing the trident, some monks gave up their complaints and accepted Zhang Xiling's proposal. During the subsequent voyage, if there is an attack from a foreign enemy, appropriate assistance will be provided. Time flies by at sea. The subsequent sailing journey was based on the latest navigation maps and the rich experience of the helmsman. The treasure ship avoided some dangerous seas where monsters and pirates were rampant, and sailed very smoothly. The locations of those fantasy worlds were mostly recorded on the nautical charts and engraved in the minds of the local seafarers. This made the next voyage smooth sailing. Not only did they not encounter any attacks from mermaids, but they also avoided some fantasy worlds of all sizes. This journey was still very worry-free. Until 2 years later, the treasure ship finally arrived at Qingguang Island, and many spirit ships and treasure ships of different sizes and shapes began to appear around it. Some of these ships were gorgeous and majestic, some were old and modeled, and some were small and simple. Chen Qingyun's treasure ship, in accordance with the navigation order here, slowly sailed towards the northern port of Qingguang Island. Many monks on the ship realized that they were about to reach their destination, and they showed their bodies one by one, ready to get off the ship and board the island. We're here, Qingguang Island is ahead, the center of the fantasy sea. Seeing the outline of the huge island, Zhang Zhen looked happy and was quite excited beside Chen Qingyun. This is the third time for me, old Zhang, to visit Thousand Star Island. Every time I come here, I am deeply shocked. It is indeed the center of the fantasy sea and the largest holy place for cultivation. If I had the money to stay here and cultivate, I might be able to achieve Dan in the future. Seeing Zhang Zhen's actions, Chen Qingyun, like the surrounding cultivators, looked towards the island in the distance. Chapter 723, Hunyuan Plate, Zhuxiantu Great Array. Under the blue sky, a huge island that was so huge that it was hard to measure, occupying half of the front vision, was crawling on the sea like a sea-suppressing beast, becoming the focus of everyone's attention. Several huge spirit ships were sailing far ahead, and the size of the ships reached 1,000 feet. This size was undoubtedly a behemoth in the ship. But as they got closer to Qingguang Island, these giant ships became smaller and smaller, until they were close to the port, becoming like sesame seeds. This size, not to mention the comparison in front of the entire Qingguang Island, just compared with the outline of the dock, was almost too small to be seen. Looking more closely, I saw two white human-shaped stone statues, one on the left and one on the right, standing on both sides of the dock entrance. The stone statues were carved to look out over the sea, holding a ring in their hands. It was not clear whether they were decorations or had other uses. Chen Qingyun's eyes passed through the dock and fell on Qingguang Island. On the Thousand-Star Island, majestic peaks rose from the ground, surrounded by clouds and mist, and the highest peaks even soared into the clouds. Chen Qingyun and the other two looked far into the distance. Through the clouds and mist, they could vaguely see the hidden towering peaks, and the Fekan waterfall was suspended in it. The scene was quite spectacular. Looking at it for several times in a row, it can give people a sense of shock of the wonders of heaven and earth, and the beauty of the spirit. Compared with the largest island in the Star Sea, Qingguang Island, this Thousand-Star Island is only one word different, but the area and magnificent scenery are far more than 100 times that of Qingguang Island. It is not an exaggeration to describe it as an island, but it is not an exaggeration to describe it as a continent. When they were close to the dock, a strange scene happened. On the side of the dock, a stone statue of an old man slowly rotated the ring in his hand, transmitting a beam of pale white light, covering the treasure ship and illuminating it. Chen Qingyun's expression moved, and he felt it carefully, and found that this beam of light did not have a harmful effect, and he felt nothing when it fell on his body, as if it was a means of detecting something. Looking at another spirit ship around, when it passed the entrance of the dock, it was also illuminated by the beam of light emitted by another statue, and it was also showing the detection effect. Chen Qingyun didn't know what it was detecting for the time being. Chen Qingyun was illuminated by the beam of light, and subconsciously showed a vigilant look, and a pair of beautiful eyebrows frowned. Zhongzhen beside him observed Chen Qingyun's words and noticed her actions, so he took the initiative to introduce himself in front of these foreign cultivators. This Hunyuan Plate can catch hidden mermaids. Even if high-level mermaids disguise themselves, they still can't hide from the world, so as not to let them cause chaos on Qingguang Island and ruin our human foundation. Fellow Taoist Chen, this is your first time to Qingguang Island. You will get used to it after coming a few times. Zhongzhen briefly introduced and told that Qingguang Island, as a holy place for cultivation in the Fantasy Sea, the most prosperous area, would be regarded as the first target of attack by the mermaids. There was once a high-level mermaid disguised as a human, who entered Qingguang Island and wreaked havoc, attacking the spiritual veins on the island, which caused the development of Qingguang Island to stagnate for more than 100 years, causing huge losses. Every failure makes one wiser. For an economic treasure island like this, strict defense is naturally needed to guard against mermaids. After entering the port, Chen Qingyun noticed that there were more than 100 ships stocked in the port, and the scene was very lively. Many monks drove magic weapons or flew in the air, landing on the dock one by one. One by one, monks from all over the country appeared in different costumes, coming and going, and the atmosphere became particularly lively, no less than a market. At this dock location, there were even monks setting up stalls around and doing local transactions. Arriving at the destination, the ship docked at the dock. Zhongxiling said a few polite words, informing that they had arrived at Qingguang Island, and everyone began to disembark. Fellow Taoist Chen, I have something important to do, so I won't bother you anymore. Let's meet again in the future. Goodbye. Zhongzhen smiled and left a communication talisman. then took his leave and merged into the crowd and disappeared. This was the first time that Chen Qingyun and the other two set foot on Qingguang Island and began to follow the crowd. There were monks hawking along the way, and the items on the stalls were dazzling, attracting many monks to stop. The scene was also happening at the other 3 ports on Qingguang Island. There are a total of 4 ports on the island, located in the east, west, south and north. This is the northern port, called Beihai Port, and it is the smallest one. Of the other 3 ports, Donghai Port has the largest area, equivalent to 3 Beihai ports. It is a large port that specializes in receiving ocean-going cargo ships, cloud whales and other beasts of burden. It's so lively, it's worthy of being the center of the fantasy sea. The prosperity of Qingguang Island is no longer comparable to that of Xinghai. Chen Qingyun was slightly shocked by the prosperous scene here. The cultivators passing by were generally in the foundation building stage, with a few in the purple mansion stage and a few in the golden elixir stage. Just by landing on the island, the strength displayed was enough to far surpass Xinghai. In addition, the spiritual energy of heaven and earth here is very rich, at least reaching the 5th level, which can satisfy the cultivation of Yuan cultivators. What will the scene be like when the cultivation world develops to its peak? After coming here, Chen Qingyun can get a glimpse of it. The 3 of them did not walk around randomly, but walked along the main street towards the main city area of Qingguang Island. On the way here, Zhang Zhen had already acted as a local guide. While chatting with Chen Qingyun, he took the initiative to introduce this Qingguang Island. Qingguang Island is located almost in the center of Huanhai. It is the largest spiritual island in Huanhai with the largest population. The economy here is prosperous, and several prosperous areas are densely populated. According to statistics, the permanent population has reached more than 30 million, and the proportion of cultivators is around 2 million. With such a large population base, it is conceivable how much industrial development can be driven by millions of cultivators settling here to practice. It is precisely because there are millions of cultivators living here that the 3 sects of Huanhai signed an agreement with each other more than 3,000 years ago to jointly manage this 1,000-star island for the convenience of governance. According to the many regulations issued by the 3 sects, the most basic one is that no cultivator is allowed to use force here, and those who violate the rules will be killed on the spot. In terms of formation defense, there is naturally no shortage. The 3 sects joined forces to cultivate a spiritual vein on this island into a 6th level spiritual vein, and set up a 6th level formation, the Zhuxiantu formation, which can use the power of the stars to wipe out Yuan cultivators. Even if 1 or 2 spiritualization cultivators came to force their way in, they would only be blocked outside the formation and would not be able to stir up any waves. Apart from the 3 sects joining forces, each of them sent a nascent soul cultivator to guard 1,000-star Island, and there was also a late nascent soul cultivator who was stationed on the islands for a long time. This person was called Old Man Qingguang, a cultivator born and raised in the local area. He dared to call himself Qingguang, and with such a Taoist name, he must not be an ordinary nascent soul cultivator. Chapter 724 White Crane Peak. 4 Yuan stage cultivators on one island, what a big deal. No wonder. This Qingguang Island is also known as the most important transit hub in the inner sea, an economic center with developed trade, and it is not only famous in the fantasy sea. This Wanbao conference can be held here. It seems that it has a very strong confidence. There is no need to worry about anyone daring to make trouble here. Chen Qingyun used his spiritual sense to explore the surrounding area. The area explored was not large, and the giant cultivator found more than a dozen people. As for the cultivator's strength discovered so far, as long as they unite, they can already walk sideways in the starry sea. The prosperity and development of the fantasy sea Zhuxian world can be seen at this moment. The 3 followed the flow of people, passed through the bustling streets into the city, and followed into the city. This city is tall and majestic, covers a huge area, and is called Qingguang City. Even though the 3 had expected it and knew the vastness of this city, they still felt their insignificance standing here at this time. There were no monks guarding the entrance of the city gate, Monks and mortals could enter and exit freely without restrictions and without paying any entry fees. After successfully entering Qingguang city, the scene in the city was more prosperous, and monks and mortals could be seen everywhere. Since there was no no-fly ban in the whole city, the monks here could fly freely and come and go freely. Chen Qingyun observed carefully and found that the mortals and monks living here got along very naturally, and there was no obvious sense of alienation. Occasionally, you can see that some monks took mortals to fly with their instruments, showing a happy scene. For the immortal cultivators who fly into the sky and hide in the ground, the mortals here are no longer surprised. They are immortals and mortals living together for thousands of years. There are often mortals who soar into the sky because of contact with immortal fate, embark on the road of cultivation, or become the wives and concubines of monks. For the monks, the environment here is safe and they are protected by the three sects of Hunyuan. The resources are also particularly rich, the prices are stable, and the source channels are reliable, attracting more and more monks to take root here. After each Wanbao conference, it not only greatly boosted the economic development here, it also attracted a large number of monks to stay, so that the monk population maintained a steady growth and continuously strengthened the foundation of Qingguang Island. Now that the Wanbao conference is about to be held, it has ushered in a very large flow of people in less than a year. Many merchants and shops are very smart. They seized this opportunity and hoarded a large number of resources and goods early, and launched low-price sales activities. Some of the original backlogs of old goods, including high-level resources, have become easier to sell than before because of the arrival of monks from all over the country and some giant monks, and the prices are completely transparent. Hundreds of shops are distributed in this Qingguang city, providing rich resources for the market. On the streets and even throughout the city, there are guards from the three sects of Hunyuan to maintain order, guard patrols, and know everything about the city. Above Qingguang city, there is also a round of Xunshan Beijian hanging in the air, which can be controlled by the monks of the three sects to achieve precise strikes on any place in the city. The formation protected the order, and the guards of the three sects supervised the order, which made the monks not have to worry about anything when trading, and they were not afraid of the evil of killing people and stealing treasures. Like Hiashi Island, there are also monks acting as shopping guides here. Most of these local guides are casual cultivators. Usually, they can be hired for a whole day with only 3 spirit stones to introduce the situation in Qingguang city in an all-round way. They know which store has affordable magic tools, authentic and new, where to sell foundation building pills, and where to hold promotional activities. Since he was a newcomer, in order to quickly grasp the situation here, Chen Qingyun hired a qi refining cultivator who took the initiative to do business on the street for 3 spirit stones. This cultivator only has the 3rd level of qi refining cultivation. She is a girl in her 20s. She calls herself Zhutong, and is a casual cultivator born and raised on Qingguang Island. Zhutong is lively and very familiar. She took the 3 people to stroll around Qingguang Island to familiarize themselves with the environment. She explained the characteristics of the place, the distribution of various shops, chambers of commerce, resources, and even attractions. With her explanation, the 3 of them were immersed in the scene along the way, and they finally knew the specific situation of Qingguang city. Qingguang city started as a market town and originally belonged to the territory of Huanyuan Palace. Later, it gradually attracted cultivators from all sides to settle down and live, driving mortals to migrate here, and gradually developed and grew. Now with the participation of Qingsi sect and Binghai sect, Qingguang city continues to expand to the surrounding areas, occupying nearly half of the area of Qingguang Island. The 4 people took the wind and thunder boat and flew slowly over the city. The surrounding pavilions, waterfalls, and spirit beasts and birds slowly passed by. Along the way, there were also cultivators who flew with flying tools, pedaled flying boats, flying swords, gourds, brocade handkerchiefs, etc. A huge flying boat landed from the clouds, casting a huge shadow moving in the city, covering Chen Qingyun and others, and flew towards the towering mountain not far ahead. Such a conspicuous formation naturally became a conspicuous package, attracting the attention of some cultivators. Being able to drive a large flying boat directly into the city with such fanfare, it is obvious that the cultivators above are not simple people. While Chen Qingyun was looking at it, Zhu introduced it very professionally. Flying boats or ships over 100 feet are prohibited from entering Qingguang city. They can only dock at the port, but the three sects are not bound by this rule. That is the snow god boat of the Binghai sect. It is so big. I think the cultivators sent by the Binghai sect to preside over the Wanbao conference have arrived. Chen Qingyun looked at the snow god boat. Due to the perspective, he could not see the situation on the flying boat for the time being. When the flying boat flew a little further, he could see dozens of blue-robed figures standing on it, looking down at Qingguang city. When the snow god boat passed through the area, some cultivators hurriedly avoided and made way, not daring to offend the fierce beast, which showed their fear of Binghai sect. Look, the largest mountain in front is Bei Peak, which is the main spiritual vein of Qingguang city. The power of the Zhuxiantu great array is provided by Bei Peak. When he said this, Zhu showed envy on his face. The White Crane Peak is a 6th grade middle grade spiritual vein. Elder Qingguang, King's sect, Huanyuan Palace, and the 3 nascent soul masters of Binghai sect all live there, right on the top of the mountain, overlooking most of the scenery of Qingguang Island. Downward, from the White Crane Peak, on the mountainside, are the caves of many giant and cultivators. Most of them belong to the 3 sects, and more than half of the guest elders of the 3 sects are there. The superior caves on the island are all built there. As for the Purple Mansion cultivators, they are not qualified to set foot there for the time being. Of course, during the Wanbao conference, the cultivators of the 3 sects can make an exception to enter, but unfortunately I am not qualified enough to enter the 3 sects. If I am qualified to enter the White Crane Peak, I can say that I am better than many people in Qingguang city. Zhu was a bit talkative and described it very clearly. Chapter 725 Wanbao Ling. According to Zhu introduction, she, like those monks below the foundation establishment stage, are just like mortals. They live in towns around Bei Mountain and cannot set foot on Bei Mountain. There are clear rules here, and she warned Chen Qingyun and the others not to climb Bei Mountain at will, lest they be driven away. Several people followed the movement of the snow god boat, and soon saw the huge flying boat quickly moving away. When it approached the White Crane Peak, it turned into the size of a sesame, and then landed on the mountainside. Zhu took the 3 of them around the entire Qingguang city in a clockwise direction. It took a total of 1 day for the 3 of them to understand this ancient maritime city. Senior, I remember clearly that Thousand Stars City is divided into 4 major regions. Business alliances of all sizes and the Illusion Sea have established commercial strongholds there. There are many exchanges and there are frequent business exchanges between each other. The main store in the East City sells spiritual beasts and formations, the Zai district sells spiritual talismans and puppets, and the Bei district is where we are now. The main store here sells magic weapons and elixirs. As for the Nanking district, they sell various resource materials, such as elixirs and ores. You can buy them there. There will be some price difference, but it's not big. If you want to get information, you can find any store with the Sanshan Tower logo anywhere in the city. Those have been certified by the 3 Saints' supervision. The information is absolutely reliable and will never be deceptive. As for buying some scarce resources, such as Snow Spirit Fairy Dew and rare treasures, you can try your luck at Danbao Auction. It is the largest auction in the city. It opens its doors every day to welcome guests, and there are often some treasures up for auction. It's a sky-high price. Having said this, Zhu rubbed his head in embarrassment and said with a smile, "But my ability is limited. I have lived in Thousand Star City for so many years and I have never been to Danbao Auction. These are just hearsays. Seniors need to go and see for themselves." Zhu gave the explanation one last time, barely stopping his mouth all the way. Even the origin of the name of the Danbao conference, which means Wuwa Danbao, was introduced. Such a detailed explanation made Chen Qingyun and Liu Zilin listen attentively. Finally, when talking about the Wanbao Conference, she mentioned the key points. This Wanbao Conference is held in the central commercial street. There is a pre-sale system. If an individual pays 3,000 spiritual stones 5 years before the event, he will receive protection from 3 sects at the same time. This protection is quite good. Many people will buy one to feel at ease. The specific content of the system is to buy one or more treasures in the Wanbao Conference, regardless of the price, as long as you stay in the Fantasy Sea for the next 5 years. If the treasure is snatched away, the 3 sects will come forward, help recover and kill the treasure hunter. In this way, for at least the next 5 years, as long as we don't leave the Illusion Sea, we won't have to worry about the treasure being robbed. At the same time, the identity of the buyer will be kept confidential, so there is no need to worry about being exposed and attracting covetousness. The usage of this system is applicable to the purchase of precious resources, as well as auxiliary resources such as Zaifu crystal. If you buy some low-level magic weapons, elixirs, etc., you won't need to buy this guarantee. 3,000 spirit stones are not cheap for monks below the Zaifu stage. As for participating in the Wanbao Conference, there are not many restrictions. The 10,000 Treasures Conference is mainly divided into an inner court and an outer court. Monks below the Zaifu level can participate in the outer court. For the inner court, only those who have the Zaifu level can enter. Monks from Zaifu and above can enter the infield after signing up, which is enough for Chen Qingyun and the others. Whether it's the outer court or the inner court, any monk who wants to participate in the 10,000 Treasures Conference needs to pay 100 spiritual stones to register. Senior, please remember to purchase the Wanbao token in advance. Although the Wanbao Conference venue is very large, there is always a limit on the number of people. When it was held last time, it was almost full. Zhu told him. Since he was going to stay there for a while, Chen Qingyun suggested that Zhu recommend a cave to live in. Zhu is very familiar with this place and knows many intermediaries. She took the 3 of them to the central commercial street and rented a large cave in a store called Hunyuan Merchant Alliance. The cave is located in Bay Mountain, and it originally required a Jiandan monk to be eligible to rent it. At this time, Chen Qingyun made no secret and released the Jiandan monk to verify his identity. This move surprised Zhu. He didn't expect that the customer he received was actually a Jiandan monk. Fortunately, he didn't offend him. Zhu was very considerate. Even though someone from the Hunyuan Merchant Alliance personally led the way to the cave, he still took the initiative to follow him. The rented cave is located on the mountainside of Bay Mountain, covering an area of more than 30,000 square meters. It includes spiritual fields, retreat rooms, courtyards and other basic buildings, and the spiritual energy concentration reaches the 6th level. The 3 of them looked around and were very satisfied with this cave. After Chen Qingyun paid the 3 spirit stones, Zhu waved goodbye with a smile, not forgetting to leave a communication talisman, telling him that if there is still need in the future, he can hire her as a guide again. From now on, the days of temporarily living in Thousand Stars City will be relatively peaceful. Chen Qingyun and the others first went to the central commercial street, registered at the registration office of the Wanbao Conference, and purchased Wanbao tokens. Since they wanted to enter the inner field, they needed at least the strength of the Zaifu stage. Chen Qingyun and the others restored their cultivation, paid 300 spirit stones, and successfully obtained 3 10,000 treasure tokens. This 10,000 treasure token is made of metal materials, has a golden appearance, is about half the size of a palm, and has the outline of Thousand Stars City engraved on the front. There are 2 types of this order. The inner field is gold, and the outer field is silver. Each piece is engraved with a number. You only need to inject mana to read the basic information inside, and it will not be tampered with or impersonated. After the Wanbao Conference, all Wanbao orders need to be recycled for the next use, so they are disposable items. 1 piece requires 100 spiritual stones, and it must be handed over to the Wanbao conference afterwards. There are at least 10,000 registered participants. The registration fee alone can reach 1 million spiritual stones. Counting other profits, the 3 sects of Huanhai will not earn much. This Wanbao conference is really a cash cow. Chen Qingyun put away the Wanbao order, and at the same time learned at the registration office that for all the goods auctioned at the Wanbao conference, the organizer will also need to extract 5% of the profit as a return, which needs to be understood clearly. After getting the Wanbao order, the 3 of them wandered around the city every day, visited the 4 major urban areas and the central commercial streets several times, and learned about the market prices of various resources here. In the North City district, Chen Qingyun purchased more than 100 broken magical weapons, which were the focus of attention. They were mainly 3rd-level magical weapons, and there were a small number of 2nd-level magical weapons, which was considered a considerable gain. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.